Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Good morning. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public hearings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 of the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustments of the City of Toronto is called to order. The committee considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new jobs. Anyone in attendance today who wishes to receive a copy of the decision of the committee must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with our decision, it may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Today, I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you're reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please state your name and address and confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will present the application to the committee first. Please note the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. If the application is substantially revised, the committee may decide to defer it to ensure the revised application is accurate and all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then, individuals in support of or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all other speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut issues raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Do we have a motion for confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting? Yes, Laura?
I can make that motion.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Michelle.
Yes. Okay. Mishi. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Motion is passed. Are there any declarations of interest of the panel or staff for the items in the 9:30 time slot? No declarations?
Through the
Are
chair,
there any,
there are none from staff.
Thank you. All right, are there any, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any deferral requests for the 9:30 time slot?
Through the chair, there are three deferral requests. The first deferral request is for item number 6, 5 KENORA Crescent. It's a deferral request at the request of the applicant to address concerns identified by community planning and area residents.
Right. The other two? You want to deal with them one at a time?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have,
I can make a motion for deferral since community planning is also asking for the same thing. I'm happy to make that motion.
Through the chair, do you wish
number
to
6.
hear from the applicant first? If they're right.
yes, I think so.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez?
Morning to the committee chair members and city staff. Subsequent to the letters of concern that we received from the area residents, the councillor, and the planning staff report, we're requesting that the committee grant a deferral of the application so that we may have the opportunity of discussing concerns related to this racking system with the staff and residents and try to mitigate some of their concerns.
Okay. So Colin,
Through the chair, there's also a
Mr. Chair, members, there is an area resident on our list, but they are not present on the call at this time.
okay. So is it the procedure in Etobicoke that you canvass the other participants as well?
Correct,
when
Mr.
you're
Chair.
considering a deferral?
Correct, Mr. Chair. We do
Okay.
ask them if they support the deferral or not, but ultimately it is the decision of the committee.
Yeah, okay. I understand that. We do that in Toronto, but in Scarborough, they don't canvass the participants. All right, so we have a request from the applicant for a deferral. Laura, you have a motion for deferral?
Yes, I do.
All right, seconder? Yeah, okay, I don't.
I'll second.
Yeah, Stan, I don't, yeah, okay, I have to click on your image to get your name. Okay, Stan, all in favor of the deferral? All right, deferral is, item is deferred. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, what is the next item for deferral?
The second item, through the chair, the second item is item number 9, 1 BURNHAMTHORPE Park Boulevard. Deferral sine die due to insufficient public notice. Since public notice has not been given under the Planning Act, a proper notice has not been given under the Planning Act, this issue will be rescheduled to a future public hearing, and a new public hearing notice will be mailed to the public.
So in this case, we don't need to hear from the agent.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. Do we have a motion for deferral?
Through the chair, we do have some neighbors who do wish to speak to the deferral, so I think we should let them speak. Thank you.
Okay, Jay Brown?
Go ahead, Jay. Mr. Chair and members, Jay Brown is present on the call at this time. They are also unmuted at this time. Jay, go ahead. Mr. Chair, I'm not sure that Jay has properly authorized the use of his microphone at this time. If we'd like, we can stand this deferral request down for a moment and then have the area residents give their opportunity to speak if you'd like, or we can keep continuing. It's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I think we'll move on to the, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer. Can we go on to the next deferral request? We'll come back to this one.
Yeah.
Through the chair. The next deferral request is for item number 20. It is 2B La Ruche Drive. It's a deferral request sine die at the request of the applicant to address concerns identified by community planning.
Okay, Mr. Garal?
Yes. Hello?
Go ahead, Thomas.
Mr. Garal, can we have your name and your address for the record, please?
Yes. Good morning, committee and committee members. My name is Thomas Gural, and I'm the agent for the owners of 2B La Ruche.
You're asking for a deferral? Oh, pardon me, can we have your address before we go on to the,
My address or the address of the property?
your address, please?
Well, my address is 720 King Street West, Unit 411.
You're my neighbor. I'm at 801. Okay, could you tell us why you require a deferral?
There's been some opposition from city planners, and we want to address them or come to an agreement before we go forward.
Okay, thank you. Panel, do we have a motion for deferral?
Also move for deferral.
Yes, Donald, do we have a seconder?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Stan, thank you. All in favor? You have a deferral, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Can we go back to,
Item number 9, Mr. Chair.
yeah, 09, okay. Have we found the applicant?
Mr. Chair, the issue wasn't with the
Brown?
applicant, it was with an area resident. But with that being said, maybe we allow the applicant to quickly speak on the file since it's it's a deferral request. Would you like the agent to speak first, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Go ahead, Marin.
Zabzuni?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Marin Zabzuni at 1140 the Queensway.
All right, thank you, sir. This is a deferral request.
It's more of a technical deferral because the public notice was not mailed out to the area residents, so we have no choice for the matter. We spoke with the application technician and we found out that they didn't get mail, neither did we on the hearing. So we have no choice. We would have loved to continue with this, but it's a technical deferral.
We would love to have dealt with it too, sir.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
let's go on to Jay Brown.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to speak. Am I on?
You're on, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, Jay Brown. I'm the next door neighbor at number 5 Burnhamthorpe Park Boulevard. If the agents or if the request is to defer, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
It's not actually his request, it's
Okay.
a technical problem in the proper notice. Either the proper notice didn't go out or no notice went out.
No
So,
notice went to any of our neighbors.
yeah, so it has to be deferred.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize like there was no need for me to speak. Anyway, thank you.
All right, thank you. Panel, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, members, before we do that, I'd like to bring to your attention, there was an additional area resident on our list of attendees, but they are not present on the call at this time.
Yeah, they also indicated that they just want to observe, not to speak. So that's why I didn't call her.
Okay, I'm happy to make that motion for deferral then. Laura
Okay,
Anderson.
Laura. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Donald?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Have your deferral. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I ask perhaps the Secretary Treasurer to comment on number 17? The community planning staff have recommended deferral of that. Now, I know the applicant hasn't necessarily agreed with the deferral, but will we consider that in the regular scheme of things or deal with it now?
Through the chair, because this request has not come from the applicant or it's a statutory requirement, it will be dealt with through the normal proceedings when we get to the item. The deferral request can only come from the applicant, or in the case of the item 9, it was a statutory requirement. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we'll now start at item number 1, 17 Wendell Avenue. The purpose of the application is to construct a 1-story front and rear addition, a new front porch, and a rear yard deck. Mr. Teodosiou.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can we have your name and address for the record, sir?
My name is George Teodosiou, 255 Johnston Avenue, Toronto.
All right, thank you. Yes, so can we have a brief presentation, sir, because there is some opposition.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and panel members. My name is George Teodosiou, and I am the agent for 17 Wendell Avenue. The owners of the property have acquired it a few years ago with the intention that one day they will turn this home into their forever home. The family already has roots in the neighborhood, including a sister of one of the owners who resides on Gary Avenue, just around the corner from 17 Wendell Avenue. The couple have decided that their dream home remains a bungalow in keeping with the existing properties and adjacent to them. For this reason, the 3-bedroom, 1-story house, which requires a slightly larger footprint than permitted, is being proposed. We worked with the planning department to improve the front yard variance and eliminated one other variance as a result. And it is worth mentioning at this time that the remaining 6 variances, which are before the committee today, and on our revised plans on file, reflect the discussions that we had with planning department, and it is our understanding that they are in approval of the remaining 6 variances. Furthermore, the improved front yard setback, which I mentioned, addresses the concerns that some of the letters of objection addressed, in that there's a reduced impact on the existing front lawn oak tree. We have hired an arborist who, following this hearing, will submit the required applications for approval to urban forestry. Other zoning concerns brought up by the area residents, which are with respect to height and to rear yard setback. These are not variations that we are requesting. The proposal is well within the zoning bylaws with respect to height and rear yard setback. So if we can go to the site plan, please. The revised site plan. Yeah, I believe that was it. Yeah. Yeah. If we could zoom in on the site plan on the left, please. Okay. Thank you. So I'll now go over the requested variances in detail. As I mentioned, discussion with planning, item number 1 deals with the front yard setback, and this was improved from the original submission, which matched the existing setback of the existing garage from whatever it was to 9 meters, which is being requested today, versus the 9.53 meters allowed. To achieve this, we will demolish the front part of the garage and push the rest of the house back. And as you can see, part of the front wall is not even within the, or rather beyond the proposed setback. It is a setback of another further 2 meters. So not all of the front wall of the house is going to be within a 9-meter setback. The variance number 2 is to request that we line up the extension with the existing side yard setbacks of 1.62 meters on the north and 1.72 meters on the south versus the 1.8 meters permitted. Variance number 3 is to propose a building length of 17.37 meters versus 17 meters allowed. As I mentioned, we're planning to build this 3-story home on one level, so that's some of the challenges which has to have this building length of 17.37 meters. And again, as you can see, it's not that length for the entire width of the house. The rear, the northeast corner of the house is set back another 2 meters. Variance number 4 is to request that we have the first floor height 1.33 meters above established grade versus 1.2 meters above. And this is to increase the ceiling height in the basement. We reviewed the approved variances in a 1,000 meter radius of the property. And we noted that there's at least a couple of residences at 18 Kent Royal and 17 William were higher than 1.2 meter above established grade. First floor elevations have been approved. Variance number 5 is deleted. Variance number 6, we're proposing a 2.6 meter wide stair width, the front porch. And again, in reviewing the approved variances, we noted that there's at least 2 properties at 18 Ken Royal and 85 Pelmo where stairs in excess of 2 meters wide have been approved. And finally, variance number 7 is to permit a driveway width of 6.1 meters, whereas the 3.2 meters is permitted. The couple have 2 children, and in turn, they have 3 grandchildren, and they would like them to be able to park and onboard and disembark from the cars on their driveway rather than in the middle of the street, which is quite a busy street. So again, in reviewing the property, we have submitted applications for approval, 3.2 meter wide, rather greater than 3.2 meter wide driveways have been permitted in a couple of instances, 23 Galewood and 16 Dalbeatty. Thank you.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Laura Belisario.
Mr. Chair and members, it'll be Anna Belisario speaking. Go ahead, Anna.
Okay.
Hi, it's actually Laura. I'm speaking for my mom. She's here though. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Can we have your address, please?
19 Wendell Avenue.
Okay. Can you tell us what your concerns about this matter are?
So a few concerns. The frontage, the house seems like it's gonna be built too far. The frontage is gonna come out too far. It's going to look strange. It's not gonna go with the rest of the street. We're concerned about that. We are concerned about the tree, and I know he did mention the tree, so that, I don't know. We are concerned about the tree though on the property at the front. Also concerned about the windows that they're putting on the north side. At this point, there are no windows. So are these windows going to be allowed? Is there going to be a fire hazard because of these windows? Because we did speak to somebody who's a fire inspector who said that they could be a fire hazard. And I think that's pretty much our main concerns.
Okay. Thank you. Nina Mardini.
Go ahead, Nina. Mr. Chair and members, Nina is present on the call. Nina is unmuted. Nina, go ahead. Nina, go ahead. Mr. Chair and members, maybe we have Nina try and log out and log back in and authorize her microphone. And while she does that, we can have the other area residents speak.
Okay.
Nina, if you could
Keelan McInnes.
Nina, if you could log out and log back in, and make sure you authorize your mic. We'll try and get you to speak. Thank you.
All right, Keelan McInnes.
Keelan, go ahead.
Our concerns are, again, shared with
Sir,
the...
Sir, can we have your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, Keelan McInnes, 21 Wendell Avenue.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Yep. So our concerns are similar to those of the other residents, that the overages that they've highlighted sort of do not continue with the look and feel of the neighborhood. The other residents that the agent highlighted while in the area are not specifically on our street, and the concern for us is that the driveway overage eats into the green space as well of the house, and therefore changes the look and feel of the look of the street.
All right. Are those your only comments, sir?
Yeah, everything
Right.
else has been addressed. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Mr. Teo Dossiu.
Mr. Chair, if we could actually try the area resident, Nina, again, before we go to the
pardon
agent.
me. Yeah, Nina Mardini back.
Mr. Chair and members, it appears Nina has, in fact, left the call. I'm not totally sure if they're trying to log back in or not at this time, but are no longer present on the call.
All right, thank you. Mr. Teo Dossiu.
Hi, thank you. So to address the concerns that were reiterated today, the front yard setback, we've already improved on that by a matter of 1.7 meters. So as I said, there will be a minimal impact, greatly reduced impact on the existing oak tree, and we'll work with urban planning, urban forestry to mitigate any injury to the tree. As far as the windows on the north side are concerned, that's a matter of the building code, as you know, and we plan to follow the building code with respect to the exposed openings when we apply for building permit. And to the driveway raised by the 21 Wendell Avenue resident, the existing driveway width and the curb cut is, I believe, 5.4 meters wide already. And we are just planning to increase that by 0.7 meters in order to accommodate a 6.1 meter for a double driveway. So that's my response to the two, or rather three, concerns brought up this morning.
So is your garage a double garage?
No, the garage is a single garage.
All right.
Existing is single, is the remaining, the proposal is also single.
Okay. All right, panel, do you have any questions?
I have a comment, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
A comment to the applicant. On your site plan, you did not indicate either of the abutting houses. And I think that would have been helpful for clarity for us and for the public to see the impact of your proposal as it relates to the immediate houses. And I think that may have alleviated some of the concerns that have been discussed today. So just a comment with regards to site plan, it helps to show where the other houses are located in relation to what you are proposing.
All right, any further questions?
Well, that being said, I actually do have a question. That being said, how does it line up with the adjacent houses? How does it actually line up in terms of front yard setback?
So, hello?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so the adjacent houses are 9.7 meters to the north, give or take a few centimeters, and 9.3 meters to the south, give or take a few centimeters. So if we open the survey, we can see the existing properties to the north and south. And obviously, that's the existing house in the middle. So currently, the
Oh, I see. Okay. Currently, it looks like it's lining up perfectly, but how will
Right,
the changes to the house affect the
So,
front yard
so
setback?
the garage will be set back 1.7
Mhm.
meters, so more or less in line with the existing front wall. But the front wall on the north side will come out about half a meter from the allowed setback, which is 9.53 meters.
Okay.
And the middle part of the house will actually be set back 1.6 meters from the allowed setback of 9.53 meters.
Okay.
But I appreciate the concern brought up that the adjacent homes were not shown on the site plan. Duly noted. Thank you.
It sounds like the impact will be quite minimal.
Yeah.
Right. So we're at 9.5 and the adjacent houses at 9.7 and 9.3.
You're
So
at 9. Aren't you at 9?
Sorry, yes, sorry, I'm on 9. I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm on 9 and they're 9.7 and 9.3.
Okay.
Mr. Chair and members,
Yes.
before we dive, you guys make your decision. I can confirm that Nina's back on the call. I don't really like jumping around like this, but it would be nice to try and see if we can get her to have an opportunity to speak, if you agree.
Okay. All right, let's have her speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nina, go ahead. Nina, you're unmuted and you're able to speak. Go ahead. Mr. Chair, I can confirm Nina did log off and has logged back in, and I'd like to assume she's authorized her microphone. Nina, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello. Nina,
We can hear you.
Nina,
Can we have your name and your address for the record, please?
Nina,
Good
please.
morning, everyone. I live at 15 Wendell Avenue. I am on the south side of the 17 Wendell, the property in question, and I am concerned regarding the two windows that they're going to be on my side, and I don't know if this is going to be because of the high, the height of the new building. Is it going to be infringing on my privacy? And I'm concerned also regarding if it's going to be more of a fire hazard, because I've never had windows from that side to my property.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I think I'm okay with their deck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Teo Dasu, did you want to make a comment or two about Ms. Mardini's submission?
Yes, as to the height, we are well within the permitted height of allowed by zoning by a matter of 2 meters. And as to the windows, as I mentioned previously to the resident on the north side, that's a matter of the building code, and we plan to meet that area exposed to the full extent the building code allowed.
Okay, thank you. Panel, do you have any other questions? Do you have any comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Donald.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied that the 6 requested variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. We heard from the neighbors concerns principally about the front yard setback, but I don't think a variation of, half a meter from the zoning requirement or a third of a meter from one of the adjacent properties is problematic. I don't think that setback variance will be perceptible. There was a comment about the concern about the driveway width, but I just did a Google street search and I noticed that most of the houses on this street have double driveways. One of them even has a triple driveway. And I'm also influenced by the fact that that wide driveway does not impact on the soft landscaping requirements of the zoning bylaw, there's no variance needed for that aspect of the proposal. So I move approval, subject to urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Through the chair, the committee also received transportation services comments late yesterday afternoon as well, which also recommends conditions. And the committee may wish to, given that this is an amended application, it would be approved as amended, subject to urban forestry and transportation services conditions.
That okay with you, Donald?
Mr. Chair.
I'm happy with that as an amendment to my motion, Mr. Chair, yes.
Mr. Chair, members, if you'd like to see, we can.
Seconder.
And I'm happy to second that motion.
All right, thank you. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 2. I need Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer.
Yes.
Can someone advise me how to get the tabs at the side of the agenda so that I can flip from one application to the other?
Mr. Chairman, there should be a black arrow on the side where if you toggle it, here I'll show you on the screen. So if you see the screen, for example, there's this bookmark area on the left. There's a black arrow here. If I hover my cursor over it and click it, it hides it. If I click the arrow again, it brings that up. And then if I click to this bookmark icon here, it brings the bookmarks back up.
No, that I know. I can't. I haven't been able to get to that part yet. I don't see the arrows.
Alternatively, I can continue sharing the screen on a continual basis, and you can instruct me onto which document you want me to navigate to.
Yeah, but if you think I can see the stuff on the screen, because I got it on my laptop and it's very small. That's why I have it on my desktop. So it's, but I just don't see the arrow there.
Let me try one more time to show. If it's hidden, it would be okay. Do you see something like this right now where you see this kind of black arrow on the very far left side of the screen? Like my cursor? You don't see that?
No.
What about the bottom? Is there any arrow keys of that nature anywhere on the bottom?
Yeah, but only for width.
I think that's just the scroll bar, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you look at what I'm doing now on screen, this is what you should see as part of the PDF. This arrow here.
Yeah.
And then.
No,
yeah.
I understand, but for some reason it doesn't show up, and I'm going through a whole bunch of stuff to get to the second item, and it takes a long time. Pardon?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Donald, have you clicked the bookmarks tab? Just over on the side, the little blue highlighted icon. Because it might be you're on the first one, which is the 2 pages at the top. It might be that second icon that you have to push.
I'm not sure what you mean. No, I don't have those black things. I don't see any blue icon.
Is this Adam on the line? Adam, can you just hover over that icon again, the second one on the left-hand side, just so Donald can see it? That one.
No,
right
no.
I don't think he sees that. I think he
I
probably.
don't see that. I'm not there yet. Once I get there, I'm fine.
Okay.
But I don't have,
Can he?
I don't have this I don't have this thing on my screen.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think at this point, Mr. Chairman, you're going to have to rely on my sharing of the documents. I'll try and zoom in as much as I can to make it more legible for you.
Okay.
Maybe at the break we can troubleshoot a bit.
That's what I was thinking, the same thing.
Yeah.
What?
Maybe at the break we can troubleshoot a bit. And
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
Through the chair,
number two.
through the chair, do you want to take a 5-minute break right now to try to troubleshoot this?
Okay, let's do that. Because it wastes a lot of time trying to find it.
So
Okay.
we'll be back at 10:25?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
10:25, okay.
Mr. Chair, are you still there?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you I'm going to alter your privileges. I'm going to make you, quote unquote, a presenter. We tried to get you to share your screen so we can, well, now that I'm thinking about it though, our problem that we're currently experiencing is you're trying to use the members package on your desktop computer while you use the laptop for your WebEx purposes, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, so you wouldn't even be able to share your screen of your desktop because you haven't logged into WebEx using the desktop, so we wouldn't be able to share your screen anyways. If you could, consider closing the program, the Adobe program on your desktop so that you don't have any kind of Adobe at all open on your desktop. Then what we'll do is we'll have you reopen it after that.
Yeah, but tell me how I close the Adobe pattern. I know that's a problem because I've had it before where I couldn't get these side tabs, but I don't know how to close the Adobe.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think so. If you have the desktop program open and Adobe is open on your screen, simply just hit the X in the top right-hand corner. There should be an X, and that should kill the program completely. You might need to click the X a few times. You might need to close the file itself and then close the Adobe program, but the X in the top right screen should be your go-to.
So that just closes everything, right?
Yeah, I'd absolutely love it if you were able to close Adobe completely and shut it down completely. And then once you do that, open Adobe back up and we'll go from there.
Okay, so, all right. All right, I'm out. Now I got to get back in, right?
Yes, please. You could do a couple things in this case. You could just use the PDF that we would have sent you originally, and you could open that up and go that way. That might be the easiest.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
And Mr. Chair, we'll share on our end again what we're kind of hoping to get you to. So as a reminder, I suspect you should see something like this that's on the screen now.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to demonstrate how to close the application if you're looking at it through your laptop screen right now?
I've closed it.
You've closed it? Okay, so just once you've closed it, then just wherever its location is, double click to open it again. Okay. That's fine.
Through the chair, we're going to, on our end, we've closed ours, so we're gonna show you the steps we do to open it back up, okay?
Okay, I've got it open, but I'm not sure, I still don't have Adobe here, because I still don't see the
Okay, so,
arrows on the side.
so Don, why don't we, just bear with us here. So, so Paul is opening up his Adobe right now. So make sure, are you at this point where you've opened it up?
Yes.
Okay, so is this what you're seeing right now?
Yep.
Okay, so then on the left-hand side, Paul, show him where the bookmark thing is. Right there. Click on it.
No, I know those bookmarks, it's just that I can't get them up.
Okay.
And I don't have an arrow on the side of my agenda.
Okay, so then it's a matter of the actually show and hide. Actually, Paula, do you want it, like, in terms of show, like, we're gonna go into view and the show and hide where Paul is. Can you slow down, Paul? Yeah.
I'm just trying to troubleshoot to see what view is actually, like, what is being hidden, what isn't being hidden.
So I think if you right click on the sidebar, it shows the check marks of what to add. So those little, you go over to like the bookmark side and you kind of pin it onto that. So right click on the side. Yeah, and then you can add it there.
So Don, when you right click, do you see? So when you right clicked on, what do you see?
Yeah. I got a whole bunch of back, forward, refresh, print, etc.
So can you right click, Paul? What, I don't know where are you right clicking?
Just in the just to the left of the agenda.
Okay, so we're going to show you where to right click.
I might have a solution. Okay. If you go to view at the top menu bar.
I've got page view.
Page view.
Yeah. I don't have, my things must be hidden.
Or you have a different Adobe version.
Maybe.
Is there in page view, like you see what I'm showing now, is there a show hide option? Because navigation panes in the show hide option, if you look at this way that my screen is now, that navigation pane area would have the different options, and one of those options is bookmarks.
Yeah, no, I just got single page and double page.
Okay, then
then
we're gonna have to forego the bookmarks.
Pardon?
We're gonna have to forego the bookmarks and continue the hearing with me displaying the documents. There's no other way.
Mr. Chair, as we go along with the meeting, until you can figure out the bookmarking concerns, you'll just have to manually scroll through the agenda on your side to the file. Unfortunately, it'll be a little more tedious for you, but we'll get there in the end.
What we could do is we could indicate the page number for the next item to help you navigate that. We can do that.
Okay. All right. I'm at 2 now. So I just, okay. So, okay, I'll be right back and then we can recommence. Thank you. Okay, is Laura here? Okay, good. All right, number 2, I'm sorry for the delay. Number 2, 100 Chestnut Hills Parkway. The purpose of this application is to legalize and maintain an existing rear yard deck and to construct a new front porch. Mr. LaPrevost?
Mr. Chair and members, David is present on the call and he is unmuted. David, go ahead. David, go ahead. Yep. Mr. Chair and members, David is, like I mentioned, David is present and unmuted. At this point, I would suggest that David hasn't authorized the use of his microphone properly. As such, if David, you could log out and log back in and authorize the use of the microphone, we'll be able to hear you. And Mr. Chair, if you'd like, we can stand this item down for a moment or two, and we'll come back to it when David's back on the line. Because I can confirm now David has. We'll try him one more time. David, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Hi, my name is David LaPrivo. I'm the agent for 100 Chestnut Hills Parkway. Good morning. Basically, what this application is we're taking an existing permitted rear porch with an unexcavated space beneath it and turning it into a living space below it. So the rear deck is already permitted. It's, again, just turning a living space below it to convert it into a gym area. The other part of this application, which is the front porch, again, is an existing front porch, which is permitted. The only change which was made was 2 decorative posts were added to the front porch for character. So basically, again, the rear porch was already permitted, but it was showing as unexcavated. Basically, the way it was designed was with a full foundation walls. So we decided to have an opening, a doorway made from the existing basement to the rear porch area to access it and, again, convert it into a gym area. And again, the front porch is a permitted front porch. The only difference that was made were 2 decorative front posts, which I was then told by planning that there is no variances that come up with the front porch, if I'm not mistaken. And that's basically it.
Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions? Do we have any comments or do we have a motion? Yes, Stan.
Just a quick question. There was an order to comply which indicated you were not in compliance with soft landscaping in the rear. Has that been addressed?
Yes, it has.
Can you explain how?
Because there's a swimming pool in the rear yard, and I think at that point they didn't take into assumption. When I spoke to planning, they had said that that was completely taken care of because of the swimming pool.
Because the swimming pool counts as soft landscaping.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Do we have any further questions or comments, or do we have a motion? Donald?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I find the variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval subject to the community planning condition.
Through the chair, there's also urban forestry conditions as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know where those conditions reside. I didn't pick up on them.
Let me just check. Sorry about that.
Where are they?
There are no forestry conditions?
My apologies. My apologies. That's item 3. My apologies. Sorry about that.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. And I'm
Are
happy to
there-
second that motion. I'm very happy to second that motion.
Okay. Right, I just want to get it straight. Are there
No,
planning
there
conditions?
are no forestry conditions.
But there is a
What
community
about-
planning, Mr. Chair, there is a community planning condition.
Yes, that's correct. And that was in your motion.
All right.
And I
Thank you.
second that motion.
Seconder, all in favor? Have your approval, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 3.
through the chair, this is on page page
No,
91.
Yeah, I can read it now on my screen. So long as you put it up on the screen, I can read it. So number 3 is 26 DUNCAIRN Drive. The purpose of the application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage, a second-story front porch, and a second-story rear addition. Ida Evangelista.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Ida Evangelista on behalf of the owners of 26 DUNCAIRN. Before we start, Mr. Chair, I would like to note the plans that you have in front of you, because the application was revised. The neighbors, there are 2 letters of opposition. They had some concerns with a few of the variances, which we did modify. And I sent a copy to committee just for ease of reference. But if I can have your indulgence and I can go through the change. Everything was submitted, the revised zoning review and the revised plans were all submitted prior to the submission deadline. However, the public hearing notice had already gone out.
So perhaps you could just tell us what the changes are?
Most definitely. So we have removed our rear yard setback variance number 3. We have removed our length variance, which is variance number 4. And variance number 6, because there was concerns regarding the balconies. So what we have done is the second-story rear platform has been removed, and the second-story front balcony is now being reduced to 7.7 square meters from 34.
Right.
Is that, do you want me a recap or is
No, I just wanted to ask, because on my notice, it appears that you changed variances number 1 and 2. Just the area, the square meters is changed from, in the first one, from 2.03.3 meters square to 202 square meters.
No, variance 1
Yeah.
is still 36% coverage, 202 square meters. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the calculation probably was incorrect on the notice, could be a typo.
Yeah, and 2 as well changed a little bit. But the time, the percentages on the first one and the times on the second one didn't change at all.
Right. The percentages remain the same. The calculation of the square meters has changed. That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
So it's now the square meters, you are correct. The number 2, it is 55 times. However, it's 312.8 square meters. So the information you have is correct, and I've just added further information for you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so.
Would you like me to make a presentation, or would you,
I don't.
would you like to go? Okay, we can.
I'm going to ask my panel if they have any questions. I don't think we need a presentation. Panel, are there any questions? No questions? You have some comments, or do we move, Laura?
Do we have any people in opposition?
Mr. Chair and members,
It's just the 2 letters of opposition, sorry?
There are no area residents on the call at this time.
No speakers. Yeah.
No speakers. Okay.
So, and that's why, through you, Mr. Chair, we modified the plans, because our concerns were the balcony in the front and the rear yard setback. So that's why we've made the changes and submitted the changes to you.
Thank you. Yes, Stan?
I think I'd like to make a motion. I believe the applicants addressed the concerns expressed by the neighbors. I believe the application meets the 4 tests, and I'd therefore like to move approval subject to forestry conditions 2 and 3.
Through the chair, since this is an amended application, may I suggest approve as amended, subject to the urban forestry?
That's, sorry, of course, as amended. That was, I thought I had said that the amendments reflect the concerns of the neighbors, and therefore I believe it meets the 4 tests.
Yeah, you did. All right. Do we have a seconder? Michi. All right. All in favor? Have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you and have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Number 4, 40 Pritchard Avenue. All
Mr.
right.
Chair and members, the agent is not present on the call at this time. And if they are, they haven't registered under the name or phone number they provided the committee. So, Mr. Chair, it's up to you.
Okay.
What we can do is we can just stand this file down for a moment while city staff reaches out to the agent, or as you all know, we can hear the file. What would you like us to do, Mr. Chair?
No, let's move on to number 5 and come back to this one.
Sounds good. I'll reach out to the agent in the meantime. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Number 5, 42 EDGECROFT Road. The purpose of this application is to construct a 1-story rear addition that will include an attached garage, a 2nd-story addition above the existing dwelling, a new front porch, and a new east side porch, and a rear yard deck. Khalid Ibrahim?
Yes.
Yes. Can we have your name and address for the record, sir?
Khalid Ibrahim, 3908 Quiet Creek Drive, Mississauga.
Okay. Okay, so panel, do we need a presentation on this matter? There's no opposition. No presentation. Okay, panel members, do you have any questions of Mr. Ibrahim? Okay, any comments, or do we have a motion?
I believe urban forestry is asking for refusal of one of the variances. And so I'm not sure which, I don't have that in front of me right now, but I'm not sure which variance it is.
Mr. Chair, members, we'll bring the memo up from forestry for you guys.
Deny variance number.
It's with respect to the dwelling length. So they must have made a mistake. So according to here, the dwelling length would be variance number 2.
Variance number 2. So they're asking for refusal of variance number 2.
Yes, but we reduced the building length from 20.5 meters to 19.9 meters. So
you did.
I don't know if you have the site plan, the revised ones, then you can
That's
see
right.
that trees, yeah, is out of the.
We have an application revision page that reduces numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, so the building length is reduced, and now that tree is out of the construction zone.
Okay. Okay, but there's still, urban forestry is still asking for conditions 1 and 2. Are you okay with that?
Reducing the length or just applying for?
No, they're still asking for conditions on of 1 and 2 on approval. Are you aware of that?
I don't see that. Just the one that, okay, so this condition or just?
So
Oh,
it's
I
the
can submit,
submission
yeah,
of a
we will
complete
submit.
application for a permit to injure or remove a city-owned
Yes.
tree, and a complete
Yes.
application for a permit to injure or remove a privately owned tree.
Yes, we are okay, yeah, with that
You're
condition.
okay
yeah.
with that?
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I'm prepared to make a motion. Unless someone has any other questions or comments, prepared to make a motion for approval. I believe it meets the 4 tests. It's desirable for the lot. So I move for approval, subject to urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Through the
Okay,
chair,
we have
as
a seconder.
amended, as amended, through the chair.
Yes, sorry, the amended application, yes.
Thank you.
Michi seconded. All in favor? Have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, can we go back to number 4? Did
Mr.
you
Chair,
find
yes,
the
we can go
agent?
back to number 4. The agent is
Okay.
present.
Mr. Dugan?
Jack, go ahead. You're unmuted. Mr. Chair and members, Mr. Dugan is present on the call. He is unmuted at this time. Jack, go ahead. Jack, go ahead. Mr. Chair and members, it appears that Jack hasn't authorized the use of his microphone. What we should do is stand this item down for a number of moments, and then we'll have Jack log out and log back in and authorize the use of his microphone. Jack, if you could do that, that'd be great. Mr. Chair, let's stand this item down for now.
All right, so we'll now go to number 721 Dartmouth Crescent. And the purpose of this application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. Arash Darvish.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention that at this time, the area residents that signed up are not present on the call.
Okay, is Mr. Darvish?
Mr. Darvish is present on the call and unmuted. Arash, go ahead.
Mr. Darvish?
Arash, go ahead. Mr. Chair, members, as you can hear, Arash is present but is having poor communication.
Are we going to be able to get him on?
Mr. Chair, I don't know. It sounds like there might be some bandwidth issues on his end because he keeps cutting in and out spottily there.
Is it better now?
Oh, there we go. Hey, Arash.
Hi, it's Arash Darvish, 189 Royal Orchard Boulevard. I'm here on behalf of 21 Dartmouth Crescent.
Yes.
Especially everybody's memory, this is the 4th time that we are attending the committee for this property. The first time we got denied because we were asking for 0.87, and later we dropped it to 0.69 and ultimately to 0.64. That was to accommodate neighbors' concern of gradual increase to the GFA from the previous, that was 0.6 3 years ago. Unfortunately, our application got denied again because the committee was against all the voids, the extra voids inside the house that they mentioned that it makes the house looks bigger from the outside. And we altered all the voids to accommodate committee's concern. This time I saw that Urban Forestry put a recommendation in regards of that, in the last 2 committee that we came, we had forestry was in line with us because I met with someone at the site and I explained to them that these roots are already damaging the existing structure, and also even adding a small addition that is completely allowed under the bylaw would need us to remove that tree. That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention an area resident, Philip Smith, has joined the call. He is a call-in user. If you'd like, we can go on to them next.
Okay. So there's only one variance here, floor space index. All right, Mr. Smith.
It's Philip Smith. Hello, it's Philip Smith, 19 Dartmouth Crescent.
Yes, what are your concerns, sir?
One is obviously the size of the building that's going to be created. It's like over 60% greater than the allowable limit. And also, we're directly impacted by this build. On our property, there's 3 windows facing 21 Dartmouth. After this build takes place, we're now going to be looking at a wall. Instead of having light coming into the living room, we'll be blocked by that house. And, you know, that's about it. We're impacted by that.
Okay, panel, do you have any questions? Okay, so Mr. Darvish?
No, I have no question. In regards of the windows, like all new houses, they have the garage like beside them, and we are not going to encroach any of the sides of the building. We're just, and any house that we build, it would have a garage that would impact their side windows. And this house has to get demolished because the structure is already damaged, and inside of the house is not livable at all.
Okay. Panel, do you have any questions?
Through the chair. Just a point of clarification.
Yes.
There is an inconsistency between the urban forestry matrix memo and the site-specific memo. Just and I did confirm with urban forestry that should the committee decide to approve it, it should be subject to conditions 2 and 3.
All right, thank you. All right, do you have any comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Donald?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm prepared to move on this. I just wanted to comment on the neighbor's concern about the impact of this building and his property. And while I appreciate that, we also must consider what is permitted to be built on this property as of right. And this proposal doesn't require any yard adjustments, height adjustments. While the FSI looks to be fairly significant, it is a small lot. And again, with no yard adjustments and no height adjustments, I don't believe there's any impact vis-a-vis what's permitted as of right. So I'm going to move approval of the application subject to urban forestry conditions 2 and 3.
All right, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Yes, Stan. All in favor of the motion? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have Mr. Dugan available now?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Dugan is present on the call, so we'll give him a shot here.
Okay.
Jack, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Yes, we can.
All right, and do you have video?
We are not spearheading the video at Etobicoke at this time.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. So I'm the agent on behalf of Kankan Buddhist Center, the owner of the existing place of worship at 40 Pritchard Avenue. As you recall, on January 21st, the committee approved a previous variance application for this property, which is now in effect. However, some further variances are required. The building has been in existence since at least 1960 and has had a rear yard setback of 0.61 meters from the public lane. However, through the site plan application, the city now requires a lane widening to the back wall of the building. This creates a new condition whereby the rear yard setback can no longer be considered legal non-conforming. A variance is required. Secondly, through the discussions with the building department regarding a permit, the city now requires the addition of a mechanical lift to provide accessibility to the front entrance. We therefore provided a walkway connection to the lift from both the public sidewalk and the parking area. This reduced the amount of soft landscaping in the front yard to 30%. And thirdly, since at least 1960, the property's had 12 parking spaces. But the city requires that one parking space be for the disabled, that it be an enlarged space, and therefore we've had to reduce the number of parking spaces from 12 to 11. No new parking is provided for the additional floor area of the building addition in accordance with the recommendations of the transplant parking justification study, which we submitted. So in conclusion, the plans for the property have not changed since the previous variance application is approved, with the minor exceptions that I explained to you. The new variances are therefore technical in nature and not substantial in any way.
Right. Panel, do you have any questions of Mr. Dugan? Donald?
Sorry, no, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I thought you had your hand up. Didn't.
I did, but not to ask a question.
Yeah, okay. All right. Do we have any comments? Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I just want to ask the applicant if he's aware, or the agent, sorry, if he's aware that there are two transportation conditions.
No, I'm not aware of those two transportation conditions.
Yeah, they were given to us in our additional materials, I think, yesterday.
I think transportation's okay with it. I don't think they have conditions.
But they had conditions based on the additional materials that we received, but if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
We'll bring it up for members right now.
I would affirm that you are correct, Laura. There was in the additional information two conditions requested by transportation. There they are.
If members would like to take a look at the screen, there are the conditions.
So the two conditions, should I read them aloud? Since the agent is unaware?
Yeah, I think you should, because the agent's unaware.
Okay. The first condition is a minimum of 11 on-site parking spaces shall be provided for the subject place of worship. And number two, the above shall be undertaken to the satisfaction of transportation services.
No problem.
But that's their proposal. That's what they're proposing. So I don't even understand why that's a condition.
Yeah, it says, based on the foregoing, we have no objections. I think they're just laying out the facts there. I don't think they're conditions.
Okay, it just said subject to the following. Okay, so that's fine. No conditions.
Through the chair, as a safety, you may wish to consider just imposing the condition. It's reflecting what's being proposed.
Okay, we're in your hands. Okay, so Laura, did you want to make a motion?
I'm happy to make that motion. I believe this application meets the four tests, subject to transportation conditions, just to be on the safe side.
Right.
1 and 2.
Do we have a seconder?
Michi will second.
Michi, thank you. All in favor? Have the approval. Thank you. Now we go to number 8, 28 SUNNYLEA Avenue East. Yes, and the purpose of this application is to construct a 2-story rear addition and a 2nd-story addition above the existing dwelling. Mr. Stickney.
David Stickney, 149 Lowther Avenue, Toronto, M5R3M5, agent for the owners of the property.
Mr. Chair and members, before we go any further, I'd like to bring to your attention the area resident is present on the call at this time.
Okay, so could we have your a brief presentation, Mr. Stickney?
Yes. The proposal is to make a 2nd-story addition on an existing bungalow and to replace an existing garage of 1 story that is attached to the rear of the dwelling with a 2-story addition. I would note that a garage permit was issued previously, and a new garage has been constructed at the rear of the yard. The conditions, we did negotiate a change in the plans with planning, which I see are noted on the screen, so that we are actually asking for a 0.67 as opposed to the 0.69 for the FSI, and we are asking for a 36.4% coverage as opposed to the 38% on the original notice. I would speak to the first two variances first. We're well within the areas and of coverage and of floor space in the neighborhood. The committee has recently approved 27 SUNNYLEA at 36% coverage and 0.67 FSI. There's other 16 SUNNYLEAs at 40.2% and 12 SUNNYLEA at 41%, all approved in the last year. There are several larger approvals in terms of percentage of FSI, but we're sort of in the middle of what the committee range of granting has been. The side yard setback variance is actually an existing situation on the north side. And so essentially it's space between your thumb and your finger as a variance. The height itself that we're asking for under the new bylaw is actually, I believe, about 5 inches more than what the bylaw requires, and that's predominantly related to the established grade on the front being a little bit lower than at the back. So the variance comes out to be about 5 inches, and the platform at the back is simply, it could be landscaping, but we've proposed it as steps to get in the back door of the house, which has been raised by about 11 inches. That, I believe, is all we have to offer.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? Let's move on to Florence Holden.
Holden, and I reside at 26 SUNNYLEA Avenue East, and I'm one of the adjoining properties to this application. I thank the committee for...
All right, Ms. Holden, could you speak into the microphone? We're having trouble hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just need to speak up, I suspect. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. I am Florence Holden. I reside at 26 SUNNYLEA Avenue East, which is one of the adjoining properties to this application. I have provided a letter and some photos to the committee. I'm going to assume that you have read them, and unless you have any specific questions or concerns about that, I won't repeat all of those comments now, but would like to add a few more if I may.
Go ahead.
So the only rationale that I've seen on the applicant's application as to the zoning variance, and the agent has alluded to, is that the proposed house, and I'm quoting, is similar to floor areas in existing houses. The houses and the renovations that the agent has just referred to are not corner lots. They're lots that exist where people have basically gone up and gone back, but the front, if you like, of the house remains the same and is generally not expanded. On this property, which is frankly a somewhat awkward lot with large existing trees, both city trees and private trees, the builder has been somewhat constrained. And that's really the reason why the garage is now the view outside my dining room window. So there's nothing in the application that I see that speaks to whether it's minor or whether it fits with the intent and purposes of the zoning code or the bylaws of the official plan. I do expect and did expect, because I do understand this is a house being built for resale, that it will be 2 stories and that it would require the existing attached garage to be torn down and expanded. And so that's not a surprise. And I don't even particularly have an objection to that. However, the height's going to be roughly doubled. I'm a bungalow. The house beside it is a bungalow. This is going to certainly eliminate a great deal of green and light from our spaces. I do note that City Forestry has also made its own objections, and while I can't speak to them, their comments. I would add that I am very concerned about the large city tree in the front of my property. And one of the pictures I've sent you that shows the tree and a person standing, that person's foot is roughly on the property line. So in order to put a driveway where it's proposed, they would have to cut out the hill, put in a retaining wall, damage those roots. You can see that's just one of the major roots coming out of the tree. And that is one of the largest trees in the neighborhood. It provides shade, oxygen, and all the other good stuff to both my house, the house next door. And I've made my concerns well known to Mr. Lindsay and to the city. So I hope that that tree is properly protected. And I don't see those protections at this point. I certainly do not agree with the statement on the application of the owner that there would be no damage to trees. The city has, the forestry people have also recognized the potential damage to two other trees. But I would strongly suggest you pay attention to that and mitigate that if possible.
All right, thank you. Mr. Stickney?
Mr. Chairman? There we
Yes.
are. Yes, the house is the proposed house is not a resale. It's the retirement home of Mr. Lindsay, just as a minor point. And in terms of the tree, there are 4 trees on the property, 3 of which are completely outside of any construction zone and are protected by an agreement that's already been made with the forestry department. And the tree that's in question at the back, there's been an adjustment to the driveway in negotiation with forestry so that the driveway remains completely outside of the protection zone, which it actually can be seen, the protection zone can actually be seen in the fence that's in the photographs that were submitted by the neighbor. So really with the moving over of the driveway, that retains all the green space on the west side of the driveway. And forestry have agreed to that and have given amounts of deposit that are required, but we have to renew our report with them. So the forestry condition is important that we submit a revised submission prior to building permits.
All right. So panel, do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're here before us today requesting variance on side yard setbacks, and yet the garage has already been built. So it looks like it's already there. Is that correct?
Correct. A permit was issued for the garage in 2019 and construction was undertaken, and essentially COVID stopped the construction. Trades weren't available, materials weren't available. It's now an existing condition that required no variances whatsoever. A permit was issued for it, and again, the tree arborist had all the tree protections in place for that construction at the time. The side yard setback that you're talking about is the side yard setback of the existing house on the north side. 1.2 required, and we're that number. It's 1.17. So it's an existing condition. If the addition is put on the back of the house to line up, it simply repeats the existing setback for another 12 feet, I believe. And it's quite literally a tiny amount of discrepancy from the required setback.
Okay, it's just, I'm looking at Street View right now and the garage looks like it's built to the lot line. And I'm just wondering how a building permit was ever issued for that.
But it's not built to the lot line. There are setbacks for the garage that are required. I believe you're required to have.
Was there a previous decision on that?
It's totally independent of variances. There never was there was no requirement to go to committee for anything. That's a legal garage under the bylaw. Permit was issued in 2020.
So you can just build a garage on a lot line without getting permission. Is that correct?
It's not on the lot line. It has a setback.
Oh, okay. So your setback was met, in other words.
The setback, we meet all the bylaw requirements for a detached garage.
Okay. It's not an attached garage. It's actually a detached garage right now, but. All right.
But it's not part of our variances in any event. All right, and panel, any further questions or comments? Do we have a motion? Stan?
I think I'm prepared to move a motion. I believe the application, I think there's some confusion with the garage versus the application, but I think what we're looking at is not the detached garage, but the application regarding the house, and that in and of itself, I believe, meets the Ford test. I would therefore like to move approval, subject to some conditions. First of all, I'd like to impose forestry condition 1, and we're talking the revised application with regards to the city tree that everyone is rightly concerned about. And secondly, there's a planning condition to tie this application to the plans of May the 3rd, 2022, as they relate to coverage and GFA.
Right. Do we have a seconder? Yes, Donald?
A second,
All in
Mr. Chair.
favor? Yes, thank you. All in favor of the motion? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 10, 66 Brentwood Road South. The purpose of the application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. And Tony and Antonella Ferroni Wild.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention that 3 of the 5 area residents are present on the call.
Yes. Is the agent?
The agent is present and unmuted. Go ahead, Antonella.
Okay.
Antonella, go ahead. Mr. Chair and members, Antonella is present on the call at this time and they are unmuted. Antonella, go ahead.
Okay, can you get in touch with her?
Mr. Chair, what we'll do is we'll stand the item down for a moment or two and we'll have Antonella log out and log back in and make sure they authorize the use of their microphone. Antonella, go ahead and log out if you can and log back in and authorize the use of your microphone. Thank you. You want to go on to number item 11, Mr. Chair?
I don't know how long it's going to take her to log in and log out.
Mr. Chair, let's go on to item number 11.
Okay. Let's go. Number 11, 7 Hartfield Court. Purpose of the application to construct a 2-story rear addition, a new rear yard deck, and to extend the existing attached garage. Mr. Dom.
Joe, go ahead. Joe, go ahead. Mr. Chair and members, Joe is present on the call and unmuted at this time. Joe, go ahead.
How are we doing with Antonella?
Mr. Chair, Antonella did sign off, and it looks like they've signed back in. What we can do is we can go back to item number 10 and give them a shot if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, Joe, if you
Yeah.
could log out and log back in and authorize the use of your microphone, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I've unmuted Antonella for item number 10. Antonella, go ahead.
Antonella, are you there?
Antonella, go ahead.
Okay. We have Mr. Dom.
As soon as possible. Thank you.
Antonella, you're there,
To
right?
leave a callback number, press 5.
Oh, that's her
Antonella?
answering.
No. Antonella, you're unmuted and we can hear you on your end. Go ahead. Mr. Chair, I'm going to try Joe Dome too at this juncture. Joe,
Yeah.
Are you present? Joe, go ahead.
Can they hear you?
Mr. Chair, I do think they can hear us. Yes, I think both Joe and Antonella are just having problems on their end.
Okay, well, let's move on to 12 until we can straighten those out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, Mr. Chair, number 12 when you're ready.
All right, number 1248 KERSDALE Avenue. Purpose of this application is to construct a one-story west side addition, a second and third floor addition above the existing dwelling in a rear yard deck. Mr. Baghdadi?
Mr. Chair and members, Mr. Baghdadi is present on the call and unmuted.
All right. Mr. Baghdadi? Okay, I think we should take a break to try and get these people. Maybe there's something wrong from our end.
Mr. Chair, we'll try Mr. Baghdadi one more time here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This is Bamdad Baghdadi from BBA Design Studio. I'm the applicant and architect for this project at 48 KERSDALE Avenue.
All right, good.
Mr. Chair, before we begin, I'd like to ask a question with regards to a potential notice issue involving variance number 2. I'm seeing a revision from 0.28 to 0.2. So is that not making the setback situation worse?
Thank you for pointing this out. The original, the final zoning notice was sent out on May the 2nd and posted on committee on May 6th. The zoning examiner picked up on the existing rear east side yard setback of 0.2 meter, which is an existing condition. On the previous zoning notices and also the public notice, that is 0.28, which is the front yard, I mean the front addition that you're doing. The existing
Hello?
to the front of the
Mr. Baghdadi,
yes.
you cut out, so.
Sorry. Yeah, I was.
didn't-
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry. I was explaining that the 0.28 is to the front yard addition that we are doing. 0.2 is to the existing northeast side side yard setback of the existing house. And this was depicted by the zoning examiner. And although we submitted this zoning notice before the public notice goes out, but it seems that the technician forgot to upload or edit the public notice that was sent out after this zoning notice was submitted on file. It's an existing condition of the house, which we do not have any variance for it. The main variance for the east side yard setback, as was originally depicted on the public notice and the previous zoning notices, is 0.28, which is only applicable to the front addition.
But it, so from the east side lot line, is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and it's only a portion of the house?
The 0.2 is the existing, the 0.28 is only the front addition, which is, it's about 1.288 meter on the east side at the front of the house.
Yeah, but the notice is, the actual requirement is greater than, I appreciate it's existing, but it's greater than the notice that went out. But I think the panel has to decide whether that's a minor notice, not going to, because it's existing, whether it's going to nullify the notice and we have to defer the matter until a second notice is sent out or not, or whether we're going to proceed because it's a minor matter and it's an existing condition. So do we have some, Stan, do you want to say something?
I think I'd like the opinion from our Deputy Secretary Treasurer as to whether we're in a notice violation situation here or not.
Through the chair, I believe that the chair is correct in terms of the requested, the amendment setback is actually it actually is a smaller setback. So it would be my opinion that improper public notice has been issued. It should be issued based on the 0.2 because 0.2 is less than 0.28. If it was the other way around, then it would be fine, right? The setback is actually less. The public has not been notified properly. So it would be my recommendation. It would be it should be deferred.
May I add something before the committee goes to decision?
Yes.
Sure. We have the signature support letter from our neighbor at number 46, and that they are the only neighbor that are affected by our east side yard setback.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, am I correct in thinking that it's not an automatic, if the notice is not correct, it's not automatically that we have to defer it, but if we consider it minor enough and not misleading, and in addition, in this case, pre-existing, and the party affected by this is given their approval, are we still able to consider whether we should proceed with it or not?
And this again, it's my opinion that because the variances were incorrect, and it's actually a more severe variance, improper, insufficient notice has been issued. So it's my recommendation it be deferred, but again, it's up to the committee to make that decision.
No, but is it compulsory, or do we have the option to consider it?
Do we legally have the discretion? I think it's a technical question.
Yeah. My reading of the cases from LPAT is that it's a discretionary matter for the committee.
You are correct. You are correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, my colleagues know I have a sort of a propensity to do the math on things. If I can just help, the difference between 0.28 and 0.2 is that much, 2.5 inches. Not trying to influence anybody, just putting that out.
No, that's helpful because it's almost imperceptible probably. Okay, panel, so do we have, Stan, do you want to start off and tell us what you think, whether it should?
I'm completely okay with this application as revised. My concern was that I wasn't sure whether we had the authority to do that, or because it was an error we had to reissue. So if everyone's okay with this, and there's no one else here in objection, then I'm prepared to move approval of the revised, subject to the two planning conditions.
Okay. All right, does anyone object to proceeding with the application as it is?
No, I think because the neighbor who is obviously the most affected has already signed on to the petition, I feel comfortable seconding that motion, yes.
Should the committee wish to make a decision on this today, it would be my recommendation, it would be approved as amended, subject to the conditions.
Yeah, you comfortable with that, Stan? That motion?
I believe that's what I said.
I think that's what he said, yes.
All right, thank you. All in favor of the motion? Have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for our understanding, committee. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Do we have either 10 or 11 online now?
Mr. Chair, we'll try item number 11 first, Joe Dome.
Okay.
Joe, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Thanks, Joe.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Yes, my name is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Okay, so your application's unopposed. I don't believe we need a presentation panel. Do you have any questions? Mr. Dome, do you have anything that you want to say before we take it into committee?
I had a presentation prepared. If you're willing to proceed to a motion, that's fine with us.
Okay. Panel, any questions, comments, or do we have a motion?
I believe Urban Forestry is seeking refusal for a couple of the variances. Is that correct? Variance number one, it looks like, I'm just looking at my notes now. Urban Forestry wants number 1 and number 5 refused. And if not, condition number 1.
2.
Yes.
Number 2?
That's,
Yes, number 2,
so
sorry. Yep.
basically, the regarding the trees, unfortunately, they're already a pretty close distance to the existing dwelling. And in order to make any meaningful addition to the rear, even if it were entirely as of right, they would need to be removed. And we would implore committee to consider this fact. It really severely limits any ability to improve the size of the dwelling to accommodate a comfortable family living space, as a number of the newer builds on the street currently enjoy, such as number 11, 16, and 20, as I mentioned earlier. And we feel that the design of the proposal tries to mitigate massing impact wherever possible. Unfortunately, the trees are unavoidable, but they would like to. The owner would like to collaborate further with Urban Forestry to find a solution that is to their satisfaction.
Okay, but you're okay with, it looks like it's condition number 1, and yet I have condition number 2 on a separate sheet. So not really sure which condition I need to impose as part of this approval.
It
Is
is
number
in fact
1 or number
condition
2?
It's private trees.
Okay. So
It's number 2.
I'm prepared to make that motion unless someone else has any comments or questions.
Go ahead, Laura.
I move for approval. I think it meets the 4 tests, subject to condition number 2. So for Urban Forestry, condition number 2.
All right. Do we have a seconder? Michi? All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can we go back to number 10?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Let's go back to number 10 and we'll give Antonella a try. Antonella, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Okay. If I get cut off, my phone is now on. You can, Adam, just call me and I will definitely answer.
Okay.
Okay. Should I move forward with my presentation?
Just give us your name and your address first.
Sure.
You
So
can go ahead.
I'm Antonella Wild of 12 Holloway Road, designer and the agent for the homeowners of 66 Brentwood Road South.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the homeowners of 66 Brentwood are proposing to replace a 1-story brick dwelling with a detached garage with a new 2-story single detached dwelling with an integral garage. As you see from the documents on file, there have been a record number of letters submitted, both in support and opposition. As you also see from the staff report, we worked with community planning to reduce the variances to those listed in my written presentation and the revised public notice. Further to these revisions, and in response to the letters of objection, my clients have decided to remove the side yard and aggregate side yard setback. That would be variance number 4 on the revised public notice. Mary Campbell of Councillor Grimes' office was kind enough to set up a meeting with all interested parties to reach an agreement. And that agreement was communicated in writing through email. So I'm going to quote the emails so that we all understand the agreement. On May 18th at 12:18 a.m., Tony Zaspalis, and I apologize if I'm saying this wrong, of 64 Brentwood Road wrote, Debbie and I, Mike Green and Paul Schofield, have talked about this at length this evening. If you are prepared to consider this request, eliminate side yard setback variance, shorten the north wall or length of the south wall collectively, we will be okay with the rest of the variances and will be prepared to withdraw our opposition at committee. The homeowner, Anna Catucci, confirmed via email that she agrees with this, and a second email was sent by Tony at 1:14 p.m. May 18th, which said, and just to confirm, our agreement is that the side yard variance will be removed, the north wall will be shortened so that it won't go beyond the west end of our south wall, which is approximately 10 inches, and the south wall will be lengthened by an equivalent amount. Now, the last portion of the above statement is incorrect and was communicated to Mr. Zaspalis, and we agreed to revise the rear of the property so that it doesn't extend beyond the rear of 64 Brentwood. But the rear wall of the kitchen, which you see on the ground floor, was of no concern and has no impact on the neighbor, and it isn't visible from that side of the house. It demonstrated with multiple examples that the variances requested are minor and in keeping with the development or use of the land, and I refer to my written presentation submitted. Many of the letters of opposition comment on the FSI of the proposal. Community planning felt it was important to match that granted to 64 Brentwood Road, which we did. The same is true for the building coverage. They were approved for 35.74, essentially the same. My clients communicated not only with close neighbors, but also with Thompson Orchard Community Association, known as TOCA. And after this communication and revisions to the proposal as per community planning, Andrew Watson of TOCA sent out an email to area residents. It stated in part and in conclusion, the TOCA board has assessed the development application and will not be opposing it. Ms. Catucci was expecting TOCA to submit written confirmation of this to the committee, however, was told again via email on May 16th the following. Thanks again for reaching out. The TOCA Development Committee met last week and decided against publishing a letter to the C of A. It was my original intent to do so, but based on feedback from other committee and board members, we decided against sending a letter in. The TOCA board is not opposing or supporting the application. My clients have negotiated in good faith, and we trust we have come to an agreement with the neighbor. We have accepted the agreement in writing twice, and all parties concerned have been copied on the email, including the councilor's office. And I believe you should have a letter from the council.
Ms. Wild.
Yes?
So do I understand that as a result of these agreements, variances have been changed?
Not changed, but removed. We've removed variance 4.
Oh, okay. So variance 4, so is there any other change beside the removal of variance 4?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I believe Mr. Zaspalis and Mr. Green are here to confirm this agreement, and I think they're scheduled to speak. And I look forward to hearing from neighbors and hope to address their remaining concerns.
Okay. Thank you. Panel, any other questions? Okay, Mr. Zaspalis.
Tony and attendees in general, please do not mute or unmute yourself. Please let city staff be responsible for that. Tony, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Tony Zaspalis, and I live at 64 Brentwood Road South, and I can confirm that the agreement that Antonella described to you from our perspective, and we did send a letter of opposition, but we are removing our opposition at this point.
Right. Thank you, sir. Borislav Lukovic.
My name is Boris Lukovic. I live at
Would you speak into the microphone, sir? We're having trouble hearing you.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Boris Lukovic. I live at 60 Antioch Drive in Etobicoke, and I'm the owner of 68 Brentwood, which is on the south side of the new proposed building. And I was just listening, hoping to get a better understanding of what's going on. I personally have no objection to the new building.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Peter Schlichter.
Yes, that's me.
Can we have your address, sir?
Yes, Peter Schlichter at 75 Thompson Avenue.
Okay, can you tell us what your concerns are?
My property is west of 66 Brentwood Road South.
Yeah.
Okay, my comments are going to be general because basically I know that Mr. Tony from 64 Thompson, he did extensive extensive comments on these property changes. And I agreed with most of those comments. But I do want to add a few more of my own. And they're general in nature because 64 Brentwood Road South provided a lot of information in there, and I basically agreed with them. But I basically disagree with this proposal because, and I'll mention a few of them, Section 5 and 6 of the original notice variances were not indicated on the revised notice. I don't know why. If they were completely deleted or why Section 5 and 6 were not on the revised notice. Secondly, the proposal is not desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land. It's a small property and part of a mutual driveway and garage. The general intent and purpose of the zoning code / bylaw are not maintained. There's too many variances involved there. Other point, public hearing notice was not issued early enough. There was no time to evaluate the proposal and obtain readable drawings. And also, the objection notices that were provided are basically meaningless. People are not living close to the proposed property. Two of the people live 4 blocks away. It doesn't affect them at all. And one of the 4 notices was missing a name and address, so that's not acceptable to me. Basically, I felt there was no respect for neighboring properties. The height of the building is too high, and it will impose on lighting and privacy of the house to the west, which is mine, 75 Thompson, and a few other of my neighbors too. And no shadow graph was provided. So if they had done that, the neighbors can see what effect that the building would have, because the height of the building is quite high. It's 2 floors, but it's as high as 3 floors, so counting the roof. So that to me is unacceptable. And that's my comment.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? No? Michael Green?
I had initially written in opposition to.
Sir, can we have your name and your address, please?
My apologies. Michael Green, 26 Brentwood Road South.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. As I was saying, I had originally opposed the application. I did take part in the mediation session hosted by the councillor's office through Mary Campbell, led the discussion. Following that discussion, a number of significant changes were made to the point where I am withdrawing my letter of objection. That's all I have to say, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. And Antonella?
Antonella, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, I thought I lost you again. Okay, I want to thank everyone for the presentations, and I'm sorry Mr. Schlitka was not able to attend the virtual meeting on Tuesday, or was he able to respond to Ms. Katucci's note dropped in their mailbox on May 1st. The note introduced themselves, informed them that they would be building a new home, and they provided contact information and a visit invitation to get in touch. I hear frustration in his presentation, and I believe that if he or his wife attended the virtual meeting, it would have been very helpful. I need to refer to 64 Brentwood to respond to Mr. Schlitka's comments. The main wall height, sometimes referred to as the underside of soffit, is lower than that of 64 Brentwood. We're requesting 6.05 to 8.7, and they were granted 6.51. The 8.7 refers to the gable end on the side of the front elevation, and it is like the gable end in the center of the roof at 64 Brentwood. In fact, that house has 2 flanking dormers on the 3rd floor. The Ontario Land Survey noted the house as a 2.5-story dwelling in error, and I take this opportunity to note that it appears as such from the street and will always appear taller and more imposing than our proposal, regardless of what the numbers say on paper. What the numbers do say is that the FSI of 0.68 matches 64 Brentwood and other approvals on the street, and that is true for the coverage as well. All these elements contribute to the massing, but are also in keeping with the immediate neighborhood and feel a good development for the property. Addressing the concern for shadows cast on this house, it is physically impossible for a 2-story home to cast a shadow on a property with a rear yard setback of 12.2 meters. Imagine you're going for a walk along Bay Street, finding it difficult to catch a ray of sun as the high-rise buildings cast shadows clear across the street. Also imagine going for a walk around a residential block with similar front yard setbacks, a block with 1, 2, and 1.5-story homes. The walk is north, south, east, and west of buildings. And yet, at any time of day, on any season, it is impossible for the houses to cast shadows on the sidewalk. For a 2-story home to cast a 12.2 meter shadow on the rear, which is the rear yard setback in this situation, the sun needs to be maybe 50 meters from the ground. Ironically, the only property this house casts a shadow on is 64 Brentwood Road North, which may explain the need to keep the rear of the house aligned as per the agreement between neighbors. It is also similarly impossible to impede on the privacy of the neighbors on Thompson Avenue. No variance was requested for rear yard setback, building length, building depth, and lastly, the 2nd-story windows are in a position as of right. They are restricted by the wall height of 6.05 meters or 2 inches above allowable. Even without a height variance, the windows will remain exactly where they are. My clients worked tirelessly with community planning, TOCA, neighbors willing to chat, and urban forestry to meet prior to this meeting. They were willing to work with all parties to reach a point where they can build a home for themselves and their young children to live in for many years to come. The variances, we believe strongly, that are in line with past committee of approvals. We only listed approvals on the subject street to keep the lists to a minimum. We believe that these examples in the staff report illustrate that the proposal meets the general intent of the zoning bylaw and official plan, and the variances are shown to be minor, or certainly in keeping with the past approvals. Furthermore, the absence of objection from TOCA or urban forestry and the agreement made with the immediate neighbor most impacted by the new home illustrates that the proposal is desirable and appropriate development of the land. And I thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, for your consideration today.
Thank you. Panel, any questions? Yes, Donald?
It's a question for Antonella. The Community Planning Department, as you probably know, has requested a condition of approval that the development shall be constructed as illustrated in architectural site plan and east elevation plan dated May 9th. I'm just wondering if that is still an applicable, relevant, appropriate condition, given your, I believe, subsequent negotiations and changes.
I believe the letter continues to say, I don't have it in front of me, but it may continue to say as it pertains to the north wall. And the reason they put that in is because we jogged the wall so that we increase the side yard setback ever so slightly. In this case, we're removing that jog because we're removing the side yard setback.
It goes on to say, as it relates to the proposed north side yard setback and front main wall height.
Yes, exactly. And the front main wall height had to do with this gable end. That's okay. But I mean, I don't know, that part I suppose could stay, but really we're not proposing a change to that. So I'm not sure.
So are you okay with an approval with that condition?
It would be misleading because if we tied it to the north wall, you would have to remove that portion of the sentence, right?
I don't think you can do that, Don, because by removal of variance 4, it's less intrusive than what planning is suggesting.
Yeah, that's why I raised the question.
But it raises another question, and that's if the GFA hasn't changed, but the footprint has been reduced, how does that jive?
Could I interrupt? Through you, Chair, could I speak on that? So we have a void where the kitchen is, sort of the second floor has this covered porch. We want to recoup that area if possible by making the kitchen larger. It was something that was spoken to with the neighbors and they had no objection. It won't affect the coverage and it won't affect the, we certainly are tied to the approved area if granted.
Yeah, but you're not changing your rear setbacks in any way.
We're increasing it because we're now aligning it with the back of the neighbor's house, right?
Okay, so part of our challenge is we don't have drawings that reflect your amendments.
Okay, so for example, you're right, but you could tie it to a building length. What I mean by that is currently the house is 16.36 meters deep or long, the length. It's not a variance, correct? But the neighbor would like us to reduce it by 10 inches to align the back of the house. So that's 0.25 meters. So if we tie it to the condition of length of 16.11 meters, then the neighbor is satisfied and there's something to tie it to, I suppose. If that makes sense. If you had to tie it to anything, that's really what you can't tie it to the plans because the plans really don't exist accurately right now.
So can you suggest wording for the condition as a result of your agreement with the neighbor?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, I've got to get my verbiage here. Okay, so let me go to what, I mean, the variances excluding variance 4 is approved. So I'm trying to think about how you word it. My apologies. The committee has approved variances 1 through 3, 5, and 6 with the condition that the maximum building length not exceed 16.11 meters.
So the planning wanted to tie it to certain plans. I guess you don't have the revised plans, is what you're saying.
Because they were concerned about the side yard setback most specifically, right?
Yeah, setback and height as well.
Well, can you take away the first portion of their clause that refers to the north and just keep the second portion?
And if you read it to me, I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Can we bring that back up? Or I'm going to try to find it here. Sorry.
Mr. Chair and members, a quick question for the agent. Antonella, have you submitted plans that reflect these changes you have proposed to the application technician yet?
No, we decided this yesterday. There was no time.
Can you please submit updated plans to the application tech immediately, showing these changes?
What define immediately?
Immediately means now.
No, because they're not done.
So committee,
How would I be
so committee, there's your decision at this point here. We don't have plans on file showing the changes. So if you'd like to tie something to it, you'd have to find a way around. You'd have to tie to the plans already on file. Otherwise, we can't really be tying plans to this decision at this time because there is no plans to tie to.
That's why we have to put some verbiage in that.
So, Mr. Chair, members, it'll be up to your decision to make the verbiage fit the requirements that you see fit.
Well, that's right. That's why we're asking the applicant if she can suggest some verbiage for us to consider. You're not happy, Stan?
No, I think we're getting bogged down by semantics here because I believe that plan I'm going to assume that that planning condition wouldn't exist if variance 4 did not exist. And the situation we are now considering is void of variance 4. In other words, it's not on the table. So I don't think we need the planning condition. But the planning
Donald,
condition.
would you agree with that, Donald?
I'm not going to say I agree with it or not, but I'm just going to add another issue. If the side yard variance has been eliminated, does that not minimally impact variance 1 re-lot coverage?
Yeah.
I feel very uncomfortable, I'll be honest, advancing on this because I'm very confused about these changes and how they impact what is being requested here. I just heard from Antonella that we should impose a condition adjusting the dwelling length. I think that's an amendment to variance 5. I'm not comfortable with the new information and how it fits in with these five variances I'm being asked to consider.
Through the chair.
Okay, so Antonella, I asked you what variances your agreements might affect, and it appears that it's the opinion of some members of the panel that it's going to affect more than just variance number 4. Are we in a situation where we need, and you haven't filed the revised plans, are we in a situation where we need a deferral so you can get all the everything in order?
Okay, no, okay, first of all, the variance for building length that you see in the staff report is referring to the original application. It's not referring to this application. Okay, so staff had submitted this report prior to us reducing the variances. Okay, so going back to your original question, how would you phrase the condition? So now that I have the staff report in front of me, I'll tell you exactly what I believe to be. The proposed development shall be constructed as illustrated in the architectural site plan and easement plan drawings dated May 9th, held on file by the Committee of Adjustment as it relates to the front main wall height, period. That's it. It doesn't relate to the proposed north side, as you've noticed, because we've removed the variance. That's the only part of the sentence that has to be removed.
Okay, so, and none of the other variances beside number 4 are affected?
Correct.
Because Mr. Taylor was concerned that they were affected.
I think they are.
I'm still concerned because in my thick mind, I can't see how you can eliminate side yard variances and not impact variance 1, lot coverage.
But the lot coverage, Don, will decrease, it won't increase. So they'll be getting, if we approve this, they'll be getting a variance for more than what they actually need.
Yeah, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I would like the lot coverage to be explicit and accurate.
To reflect what they're actually getting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, members, you do have the ability and right to defer this file if you deem fit.
Yeah, I think that that's something we should consider because I don't think that Donald or Stan are comfortable with the proposal at this stage because of the changes. Is that correct?
And as a reminder, we don't have the current
Yes,
proper
and
updated
even
plans.
Yeah. Okay. So would someone can make a motion, either a deferral or a refusal or an approval, or let's have a motion on the table. Donald?
I guess I feel kind of obliged here, Mr. Chair. I move deferral to enable a fresh application to be developed, circulated, and applied for to accurately reflect in all respects the changes that have been made very recently.
Okay, and also the filing of the revised plans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a seconder? All right, all in favor of the motion for deferral? All right, thank you. You have a motion for deferral.
Thank you.
And now we go to number 1329 Bromley Crescent. The purpose of this application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. Marco Vera.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention one of the area residents is present on the call at this time.
Yes, okay. Which one?
Mr. Chair, Allison Duff is present on the call at this time.
Okay. Is Marco Vera on the call?
Marco, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'm on the call. It's Marco Vieira at 257 Dunraven Drive. I'm the agent and the designer for this application.
Okay, so if there is opposition, would you please give us a brief presentation?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The application before you is to remove the existing dwelling and construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. Since our original submission has been submitted to committee, we have worked extensively with planning to reduce and eliminate variances to make our proposal more in keeping with the zoning bylaw. The changes have, I guess I see them posted on the screen. I can go through them with you. Essentially, variance number 1, variance 3, and variance number 10 have been removed. Variance number 2, which was tied to the gross floor area, has been reduced to a number that is typically been approved in the surrounding neighborhood and satisfied planning as well. Variance number 3 and 4, number 4 and 5, pardon me, relate to the length and depth. Those two variances is a result that it's being taken to the basement foundation wall of the proposed concrete porch in the rear. The proposed dwelling from the front garage to the back, extending the whole way, the 2 stories, does comply and is actually less than the 17 meters in length. And it also complies with a maximum depth of 19 meters.
Okay.
I'd like also to touch upon variance number 9, which relates to a platform.
Just a minute. Is 6 deleted?
Number 6 remains unchanged. 6 to 8 number 6 is not deleted. That 7.16 is to a small bay window on the front of the dwelling. It doesn't add to the height of the house, but that was not deleted.
So
number 6 stays.
Is this because on our
this is correct.
Marco, on my package, agenda package, it all the deleted variances are in red and struck out.
Correct.
And 6 is in red and struck out.
Mr. Chairman, I am very sorry to interrupt. There is a second, more updated revision page. It's in the additional materials PDF. So I was sharing the wrong one. I apologize. The one that I'm sharing on screen right now is the most recent revision page, which shows variance 6 intact.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Marco. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, it's okay. Through you, Mr. Chair, variance number 9 touches upon the platform area of where we're proposing 7.1 meters, whereas the bylaw allows 4 meters. I'd like to mention that the proposed platform is 4.38 meters away from the south property line, and it's actually 2.4 meters set back from the edge of the roof over the proposed porch in the rear, and it is also set back 0.7 meters from the southeast corner of the dwelling, and that was done to minimize overlook and ensure that it's just the access from the primary bedroom to be accessed only by 1 to 2 people. It's not in place, but we feel that because it is set back from the limit of the roof at the first floor, it doesn't affect privacy as much. shall you see fit to approve this variance, we do not have an objection to installing a privacy screen on that southeast side, if that would appease neighbors, just for added buffer and screening. We also submitted drawings, sketch renders together with an area map that outlines similar applications that have been for the committee and recently built, so that our proposal is within the average size home compared to the lot area and compared to also FSI. We believe that the proposed setbacks to this dwelling, in which we comply with all side yards, front and rear yards. We also comply with the maximum allowed lot coverage. The overall dwelling height is maintained and it's in keeping, meets the bylaw actually. So we feel that these reductions that we've made through the discussions with planning have moved our application to be a lot closer to the bylaw and minimize the impact to adjacent properties. We do feel that it does fit into the character and into the massing of the neighborhood. We acknowledge that planning is now in support of our application. Transportation does have no objections. We also know that forestry has recommended a refusal. We have a large number of trees on this lot that we have retained an arborist with to see which trees we can keep. Two of the trees are within the as of right footprint of this house. So we feel that we will be able to work with forestry to get that approval. With regards to the driveway width, as it relates to the widest point, it's by the garage. It's essentially a similar condition to the existing because there's a walkway in front of that garage. Now, the widest point of the driveway is right at the edge of the garage, and then it tapers towards the property line and extending to the street to meet its current width of the existing driveway.
Right. Marco, your time is up. If you could just wrap up, please.
I think just on the new material and on the revised application, if I must say, I think the application does meet the 4 tests, and I ask the committee to approve the application.
All right. Thank you. Any questions, panel? Okay. Yes, Donald?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, one question. Can I ask staff to confirm that the public notice that was served properly includes variance 6? I'm a little bit confused about the timing when these notices went out. Does the public know that variance 6 is being applied for?
Mr. Chairman, the notice that I have here in the package, variance 6 is for the exterior main wall height of 7.16 meters. And on the second revision page, that variance 6 is intact. I can share my screen to show you the comparison.
To answer your question, yes, circulation was done correctly, and the public notice did list number 6.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Allison Duff?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Allison Duff and I reside at 27 Bromley Crescent. I filed a letter of objection as well as 2 of our other neighbors. A few of them were going to file letters, but they obviously didn't make the deadline. My comments actually are about the documents themselves, more on a procedural basis. I was quite shocked this morning to log into the website to find out that the plans had been revised as of May 17th, less than 48 hours before this proceeding. I thought I would have provided some, we've had absolutely no contact with the owners, and I didn't think it was my responsibility to have to check the website periodically because the application has been updated 3 times. I also see that on May the 12th and 13th, the Urban Forestry has kind of seen our point of view with respect to 2 of the tree removals, and I can speak to that. But in terms of my formal, I'll begin at submissions. So our street is circa 1954. We're an area in transition. There's a new build and a renovation every year. The houses are very consistent though. And in our collective wisdom, and I speak on behalf of my neighbors as well, we're not aware of any variances being requested of the renovations that have taken place. We respect the bylaws. I have gone through a renovation. The neighbor on the other side has gone on a renovation. In both cases, we stayed within the bylaws, finding them they were consistent to accommodate the changes to our dwellings. But to have a request, which originally started with 11 variances and now is 8, there's been absolutely no communication with the neighbors. As this is a new build, I do not understand why any variances are required. I mean, they have complete freedom to design a building to meet the bylaws. And I know that there's absolutely no letters of support in it for the owners. In my objection letter, I identify 3 risks to our neighborhood. They are flood risk, that of privacy, and that of precedent. And the flood risk perhaps is the most emotional because our street has had 2 floods in the last 9 years. All of us have had to redo our basements. I'm talking 3 feet of water many times. And if our street does not have curbs, so it has ditches. And what happens is every spring, we all hold our breath as the thaw, kind of the water comes up to our doorsteps. So to have a house that is bigger and more concrete covering the bigger area, as well as removing 4 mature trees, there's a lot of concern in the neighborhood. There'll be a pool. I can't do anything about that. But the current drawings seem to indicate that there'd be no concrete around this pool, that it would all be just grass. And I submit that the lack of root system and natural ground coverings, replacing that with concrete, is an additional flood risk that we should not have to be exposed to. The second one is that of privacy. I'm opposed to the 2nd-story deck, that it was, the legal limit is what, 4 square meters, and this is 7.1. I think they've reduced it. I mean, I consider that an affront to my privacy. Not only is the building deeper in the property, the 1st floor deck is higher than the legal limit. And then on top of that 1st floor deck, there's going to be a 2nd deck, which of course is almost double the size, 80% larger than what is allowed by law. That to me seems to be excessive and not necessary. The third concern that we have, and I speak again, I don't mean to speak on behalf of my neighbors, but we have gotten together a number of times. And the third one is really just the precedent. The fact that we could have, I would say about half the houses on our street have been rebuilt. No one's asked for a frontage variation. No one's asked for a dwelling depth variation. And we've all managed to do our renovations within the context to enable consistency. And we're very concerned to have like a new owner come into the neighborhood and ask for variations, 8. I mean, the original one is 11, perhaps I should be thankful, but that has been reduced. But the 8 are concerning. I don't see any tree protection plan. In fact, all I see is tree removal. So all of these things they add to cumulative variances that, in my opinion, really are not minor. And I question whether this new build, based on the information is filed, is really minor and within the realms of this panel to decide. Those are my submissions.
All right, thank you. Panel, any questions? Okay. So is the other neighbor online, Lucy Palazzi?
Mr. Chair and members, Lucy is not present on the call at this time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Vera?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the drawings that were submitted last was on Friday, the 13th. That was because of the ongoing discussions with planning to make sure that we had the latest drawings submitted to the committee. With regards to the rear and front yard, we're in full compliance with the landscape requirements for the rear and the front. The front is actually remaining virtually untouched, with the exception of widening portion of the driveway directly in front of the new garage door. In terms of the tree protection plan, we have arborist report with the tree protection plans and trees. That has also been revised and will be submitted to forestry to work with them to ensure that we can get the proper approvals, see fit to approve this application. I believe when we're looking at this house, we're looking at not just the street, but the context of the neighborhood. And in terms of massing, in terms of size of the dwelling, and the fact that we are in compliance with height setbacks and lot coverage, I do believe that this application fits into the character of the neighborhood, and I believe it will positively add to the neighborhood that is undergoing change. The development comes up.
Okay, any questions, panel? Take it in, yes, Stan?
Yeah, I do have a question because, Marco, you're saying that you've submitted plans on May the 13th. Planning has a condition that relates to plans submitted May the 5th. So again, we're into this sort of...
Through you, Mr. Chair, if you were to tie it to that plans.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, my mute was, the mic was turned off for a second there. Through you, Mr. Chair, the plans that planning is referring to are exactly the same. There's no change to anything there. It's just that based on the zoning notice that was done most recently to reflect our changes, the examiner accounted for the portion of the front porch within the area. So the GFA, or at 30%, should actually be 30.8%. We wanted it to be 0.8 so that it's not rounded up because the front porch is partially enclosed. There's the extension of the garage sticks out a little bit, and on the other side there's a wall. So that makes that porch essentially more than 50% enclosed. So we wanted to ensure that the size of the house reflected that because part of zoning does include that porch area.
So should the changes be linked to the new plans?
They should, because it covers correct numbers, and it.
I can't hear.
Mr. Chair and members, Mr. Chair and members, it's your decision to make whether you tie the plans or not. It's not up to the agent to decide your decision for you.
No, we appreciate it.
We understand that. I just want to know if there was a difference between the May 5th plans and the May 13th plans.
The May 13th plans reflect the changes to the application.
I think if you're going to tie anything to plans, then they should be May 13th because they're the latest plans. Donald?
Yes, I just wanted an affirmation here from the agent. I believe I heard you say, sir, that in fact the new lot coverage is 30.8%. Did I hear you say that?
You, Mr. Chair, no, the lot coverage is not. The lot coverage is in full compliance. It's just the portion of the variance number 2 where it says the proposed floor space index, the 165 plus 30.8% instead of the original one, which was 35% of the lot. Coverage has been removed because we've reduced the house down in terms of its length and in terms of its overall size.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any comments? Do we have a motion? Yes, Donald?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm comfortable moving a motion to approve. I find the 8 variances requested in the revised application that was included in our additional materials, just to be clear, meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I move approval subject to urban forestry condition 2 and the condition requested by the Community Planning Department?
Through the chair, as a point of clarification, you can't, since community planning has tied it to a previous version of the plans, may I suggest that it wouldn't be to the it would be approval as amended,
May
subject
13th.
to urban forestry, condition number 2, and then refer to the exact plans that were submitted. So it's the plans received May 17th.
Okay, but
we will make sure we get the dates correct. It's basically the most current version of the
only
plans.
change to the wording of the motion there therefore would be in just with respect to the date of the plans, not the content of them, right?
Correct.
I'm satisfied with that modification.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Stan, all in favor? Have your approval. Thank you, sir. Can we take a 5-minute break now? Come back at about 27 after 12.
Holy shit.
Okay, we're all back. Let's go to number 1425 Yorkville Drive. Purpose of the application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. Reza Vaziri.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Chair and members of committee. This is Reza Vaziri. I'm located at 18 HARTFIELD Court.
Okay. So I don't know that we need a presentation, but perhaps you could just tell us which variances are still in effect, because I have 2 is struck out, 4 is struck out, 8, 9, and 10 are struck out. Is that correct?
Sure. Correct. Yes,
Okay.
we have been working closely with the staff, and we have reduced our variances to those 4 variances. And we will believe with the existing pattern of development in the area, ours are very minor. So I'm happy to explain our supporting documents if needed, but I will listen to you.
Okay. Do you have any, I'm going to take it into committee. I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have anything to say before we go into committee?
No.
All right, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions? Comments? Somebody have a motion? Stan, you have a motion?
Sorry, let me unmute myself. Yeah, I believe as revised, it's minor and meets the 4 tests. I would therefore like to move approval subject to some conditions, forestry conditions, condition 1 and 2, as well as a planning condition, which ties this to a site plan of May the 6th, 2022, as it relates to height of the side exterior walls and the east side yard setback.
I'm happy to second that motion.
All right, thank you. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Number 15, 8 Greening Crescent.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention that the area resident, Mr. Baltek, is not present on the call at this time.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, correction. I do see they are actually on the call at this time. They've recently just joined, so the area resident is present on the call.
Okay, thank you. Purpose of the application is to construct a 2nd-story addition above the existing dwelling and new rear yard shed. Jennifer Scholes.
Yes, I'm here.
Good. All right, could you give us your name and your address for the record and give us a presentation, because we have someone who's online in opposition.
Jennifer Scholes, 68 Wimbledon Road.
Thank you. Go ahead with your presentation, please.
The subject property has frontage along the north side of the street and is an interior lot on a short block with mostly original single-story detached dwellings. This application is intended to provide adequate living space for a growing family. The proposal will efficiently use the subject property by providing them with a house that is considerate to and in keeping with the surrounding context. There has been limited development on this particular street, so there are few precedents. Rather than tearing down the house, we're proposing a 2nd-story addition that maintains the pattern of the existing dwellings with the recessed central entry portion and the single attached garage. The design respects the mid-century modern window proportions and roofline. It has been modified to ensure that planning is supportive. The GFA was reduced. The original design retained the front and both side walls. The depth has since been reduced, so all 4 exterior walls are maintained with modifications to the openings. The second floor is set back at the front to reduce the massing, and there is a slight overhang at the rear to accommodate the bedrooms at the back of the house. The front and rear landscaping and softscape comply with the bylaw and will allow for adequate surface drainage. All water from the roof, which is no larger than the existing, will not drain onto adjacent properties. The proposal is compliant with the bylaw's maximum height of peak and main walls, the maximum dwelling length and depth. All setbacks are being maintained because existing walls are to remain. The GFA increase is in keeping with precedents in the area and is only 8% higher than the maximum. The coverage variance is within 1/3 of a percentage point, including the shed. The coverage of the house itself complies with the bylaw, and there are no transportation or urban forestry conditions. I'll quickly outline the variance changes. Number 1, the altered dwelling was originally 34.72% of the area of the lot, and it was reduced to 33.29. That includes the shed. Without the shed, we're at 31%, which is below threshold. Gross floor area, the maximum proposed permitted gross floor area is 50% of the lot area. The altered dwelling, including the garage, had a floor space index of 65% based on a precedent on the corner. And after some discussion with planning, the GFA was reduced to 58%. There are 9 precedents in the immediate vicinity east of Kipling, ranging from 58 to 64%. And there are also 27 properties west of Kipling within a 500-meter radius where numerous bungalows have been rebuilt or modified with second-story additions, all ranging from 59 to 97%. Front yard setback is based on an existing condition. It is not changing because of that. The second floor is set back from the existing front wall to reduce the massing, and this shows an attempt to reduce the impact of the second story to adjacent neighbors. Side yard setbacks, this was modified slightly because of the depth change. The side lot is not parallel to the existing wall. So the west setback complied with the bylaw originally and still does, and we no longer have an east setback variance. We just have the aggregate setback variance, which has been decreased to, well, increased, but it's 15.9% as opposed to 15%. The exterior stair encroachment has slightly changed as well based on the revisions. It's been reduced to 0.38 meters. Also because of the depth change, this allows for a side entrance behind the garage, which is more functional than the existing side door on the west side. Stairs are required because of the existing ground floor being above grade, and it is remaining. Neighbors support and opposition. We've been trying for many weeks to review the drawings with neighbors to ensure that they were informed and a dialogue could take place. Some neighbors were responsive, others were not. The sign was posted early on May 2nd. An introductory letter was dropped off at numerous mailboxes on May 5th. In this letter, the owner invited neighbors to reach out by phone, email, or text. My contact information was also provided. Nobody reached out to me or my client. A letter of support was sent to the AIC by the owners of 15 Greening. We thank them. 2 letters of opposition were submitted representing 4 neighbors, and I won't get into that until they've spoken. So in conclusion, quickly, community planning is supportive of the application. Transportation and urban forestry have no conditions. My client has done as much outreach to neighbors as possible, but despite this, there is some opposition from those who are resistant to change. All requested variances are minor in nature. This application is not excessive, but is rather consistent with the style of existing houses in the neighborhood. The massing of the house is sensitive to the fact that many of the original bungalows remain intact. It is in keeping with what is being built in the general vicinity and will serve to contribute, in my opinion, to contextually responsive development. I hope that you agree and that this application meets the 4 tests.
Thank you. Any questions, panel? Diego Baltalic.
Go ahead, Diego.
My name is Diego Batalik, 5 Pippin Place. We abut 8 Greening on the north side. Our backyards abut. Let me just thank the committee for allowing me to speak. My concerns revolve around drainage. I did not see anything about topographical changes or water control measures. 8 Greening is elevated lot compared to ours. We've had a lot of problems with water flooding that runs off in the winter after the snow melts and every summer with a storm, where it's caused considerable damage to our existing garage and our backyard and back wall in the basement, to the point where we are finding it difficult to get water damage coverage insurance. I would like to know that the larger roof area, because of the overhang and the rather large shed, the drain and the water management will be taken care of before it comes flooding down into our backyard. That is my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes?
One moment, Mr. Chair. Okay, we're good. Jennifer, go ahead.
The building permit process does require that no water is draining onto adjacent properties. My client is prepared to install a French drain in the middle of the backyard and modify the grade on their property directly so that no water will eject onto the adjacent properties. That is part of the building permit process. It is not generally a zoning requirement, but they will follow all requirements according to the building permit.
So is that on the plans?
No, because it has not yet been addressed because it's a building permit issue, not a zoning issue. My client is planning on addressing those issues and has assured, I think this is the neighbor we had a conversation with, he has assured him that this would be done. But a grading plan is not required for an addition. If it is a condition of the committee, if it will satisfy the concerns of the committee, we can add a condition, if you'd like, requiring that a grading plan be provided at the building permit stage.
Through the chair, I don't think it's not necessary. I agree with the applicant. These are items normally addressed through the building permit process. And if you decide to impose a condition, no one will be able to clear it.
Yeah. Okay. In other words, we can't enforce it.
Through the chair, that's
city
correct.
Can't enforce it.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
The city does have a note on every building permit application that stipulates that no surface drainage is allowed to be ejected onto adjacent properties. Every permit that I've received in the last year or two has that note on it. It's a standard note that is stamped onto the permit drawings by the city.
Right. So you're going to have to satisfy building that no drainage is leaking onto your neighbor's properties.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, panel, do you have any further questions or do we have a motion?
I'm happy to make a motion if no one has any further questions.
Go ahead, Laura.
I believe the variances as revised are minor in nature and desirable. And I move for approval, and I believe there are no conditions.
Yeah. We have a seconder?
I'll second.
Mishi?
Yep.
All right, all in favor? Have the approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 16, 300 Bartor Road.
Chair, I would like to request a deferral of this application. We received the zoning certificate that we had applied for in February only late yesterday, and there are some discrepancies between that and our application, which I need to resolve before this can go forward.
Can we have your name and address, please?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Peter Milchin, 296 Mill Road, agent for the applicant.
Okay. All right, panel. Um,
And former counselor.
Don't remind me.
I'm happy to make a motion for deferral.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Michi, thank you. All in favor? Have your deferral, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 17, 106 Evelyn Wiggins Drive. I can't tell you the purpose yet because I'm just at 16.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention, the agent was present on the call earlier today, but has since appeared to drop off. It also should be noted that the area resident is not present on the call at this time.
The area resident is on the call,
They are not on the call at this time.
so nobody's on this application.
And also, community planning wants it deferred.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. There is no agent or area resident on the call at this exact moment. What we can do is we can stand it down for a moment. We can reach out to the agent if you'd like.
Yes, let's move on to 18.
Mr. Chair, what we'll do then,
try
what we'll do is we'll reach out to the agent and we'll leave this as the very last item for the morning session then.
Thank you.
So through the chair, if it's okay, we will go on to item 18, 1190 Kipling Avenue.
1190 Kipling Avenue, right.
Hello?
Hello, just a minute. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Who's on the line? What's your name, sir?
My name is Arben Spati, 1287 Strathy Avenue, Mississauga. I'm the applicant and the agent for the owner.
Okay, would you just hang on? I just need to introduce this matter. So the purpose of this application is to construct a second-story front addition, a new covered south side deck, and a second-story balcony. I don't think there's anyone else on this application. So, panel, do you have any questions or comments? Do we need a presentation? Okay, Mr. Shapati, we're going to take this into committee. Do you have anything you want to say to the panel before we go into committee?
Not at all, thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, do we have any comments or do we have a motion on this matter?
I'm happy to make a motion if no one else has any questions. This is a pretty
Right.
straightforward application. I think it's desirable. I think it meets the 4 tests, and I move for approval subject to urban forestry number 3.
Right. We have a seconder? Yes, Stan, thank you. All in favor? Have your approval, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 19, 64 Hunting Ridge.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd like to bring to your attention that the 2 area residents are not present on the call at this time.
Okay. Let me just get to this.
No.
Mr. Chair, I do note actually Linda Dixon, an area resident, has recently joined the call. They are present at this time.
Okay.
The Boyds, on the other hand,
All right,
are not on the call.
Yeah, so the purpose of this application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage and a new rear yard deck. Mehran Haidari?
Good afternoon. This is Mehran Haidari from PMG Design Group and agent.
We can't hear you, sir.
This is Mehran Haidari.
Yes.
1090 Don Mills Road, Unit 506. I'm designer and agent behalf of the owner, and owner is here beside me, and Mr. Francis.
Mr. Del Giudice, yes, I'm the owner. Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you.
Okay, can we have your presentation because there's someone else on the line in opposition?
Yes, so I will explain about the variance number 4 that we removed and you have in front of you. And the variance number 3, so actually we improved the drawing. And if you look at the revised drawing, the deck itself in the back, based on the bylaw, the depth, the length is 5.5 meters still, but we improved and removed to 3.97 along the length of the deck and from the west to east. So it means we don't have any 5.5 meter in any point of the deck in the back, and all the way is 3.97 meter. But based on the bylaw and the definition, it still is 5.5 meter.
I don't quite understand what you said.
So would you please bring the main floor plan on the display? The revised drawing that I submitted, main floor plan.
It should be up on the screen now.
Yeah, actually, if you go to drawing A3, this is A1. Yes, yeah. Okay, if you see, the deck itself is 3.97 meter at the main, in the back of the house, in front of the window, and in the projection part, again, is 3.97 meter. We don't have 5.5 meter anymore depth, but based on the bylaw, the very end part of the deck and very shorter part of the building, the dimension is 5.5 meter. It means on the bylaw we have 5.5 meter, but actual length and the physical length of the deck is 3.97 meter. So we don't have any change on the variance of the deck, rear deck.
So variance number 3, the rear deck will be located 5.5 meters from the rear main wall. Is that correct? Is that the right variance?
Yes, yes, right variance. But actual drawing in front of you shows improvement on the original drawing that we submitted.
Okay, so you made it shorter, but still there's a point that's at 5.5 meters from the rear main wall.
Exactly.
Through the chair, just a point of clarification. In the applicant's revised page dated May 6th, variance number 3 is requesting an amended variance for the length of the rear deck to be 3.97 meters. Is this correct? Can you please check with the applicant?
Yeah, that's why I checked with him, because, I mean, I thought he said he's improved it to 3.97, but it's still 5.5 meters. That's why I didn't understand. So, Mr. Haydari, am I correct in saying that what you're asking for is 5.5 and not 3.97?
Yes, exactly. This is the conversation that I had with the assistant planner, and she requested me to show on the application that is improvement. So, and we sent the email and the revised drawing to her and explained to her, and she was convinced about the improvement of the application. But the variance itself is not changing.
Well, so Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, what notice went out? Because this one that says 3.975 meters from the rear main wall
Let
is
me
confusing.
let me check, and I will post the notice up.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that the notice that did go out was the 5.5. We have it in front of us.
Members and Chair, that is correct. The original notice with the 5.5 meters was what was mailed out.
Okay.
Subsequent to the mail out, community planning and the agent had a conversation, and it appears that the agent wanted to make the changes to the application.
But they didn't actually get made. Is that right? He's still asking for 5.5 meters.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it was agreed to.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to Linda Dixon.
Or may I?
Mr. Chair, do you want to move on, or do you want to stick with the agent for a few more moments here?
Oh, do you have more to say, Mr. Haidari?
One moment, Mr. Chair.
64 Hunting Ridge Drive. Just by way of background, my late parents purchased this house and
Mr. Chair, that was the property owner speaking there. Do you want to double check with the agent anything else, or do you want to move on to the area resident?
No, let's check. Let's be on the safe side. Let's check with Mr. Haidari first to see if he's got anything more to say.
Yeah, let's make sure that he is or is not making changes to the application as presented.
Yeah.
Mr. Haidari, can you confirm that you're making changes to the application or not?
The changes we have is just variance number 4 we're removing.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Donald. All right, Donald, do you have a question of the agent?
Just an observation. I don't know if it's fatal to this application or not, but I see that it is described in the notice as a consent, and it is not. It is a minor variance request. I don't know if that's a significant or, as I say, fatal. I guess I put it to staff. But it's a misstatement, in my opinion, as to what is in fact being requested.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and members, it was just simply a staff error. We can correct that in the decision, and we won't have a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, just to make everything clear, I just want to make sure what's being proposed here. Can you please put up the revision, the revised variances, please? Just for the record. Yes, please. So what is being proposed? No changes to variance number 1, no changes to variance number 2. Variance number 3 is actually reverting back to 5.5 meters, which was included in the public hearing notice, and variance 4 is being eliminated. I just want to make sure that with the applicant that this is correct.
Yes, it's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Linda Dixon.
We're at 62 Hunting Ridge, which is next door to the proposed new build. All of our concerns have been addressed, and we have nothing further to add at this point, except to we just want to make the committee aware that work on the foundation for the new building is already well underway. But our concerns have been addressed.
Thank you. Are either of the Boyds online?
Mr. Chair and members, the Boyd family is not present on the call at this time.
Okay. So we needn't hear from Mr. Haidari any further because the Dixons are accepting the variances. So panel, do you have any further questions of the applicant, or do we have comments or a motion? Stan, did you want to say something, or you want to bring a motion?
Yeah, I think I'm good to bring a motion. I believe the revised application is minor and meeting the 4 tests. I'd like to move approval subject to forestry condition number 3.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Laura, all in favor? Have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Can we just check for the record whether member Alderson and McCloskey have voted, please?
As a point
Sorry,
of reference, here in council
I was-
chambers, Laura and Mitchie have gone off screen, not because of anything other than just bandwidth problems somewhere.
Oh, okay, sorry. I should have unmuted myself, but yes, I did second that motion.
Yep, we're.
If he's agreeable.
Mr. Chair and members, it looks like we're having a bit of some IT problems here at Etobicoke Civic Center. I have no longer the ability to mute or unmute attendees on the call, so I think we're experiencing a tiny little bit of internet lag. With that being said, I will try to unmute the agent. We also are potentially having sharing problems right now, so just bear with us. In the meantime, Amber, if you could log out and log back in and authorize the use of your microphone. I don't have the ability to unmute you, and so I suspect it's because you haven't authorized the use of your microphone. So if you could log out and log back in, that would be great. So I just want to bring to the chair's attention and the members and the attendees on the line is we're having some network issues here at the Etobicoke Civic Center. So just bear with us while we kind of straighten them out. If the members could go ahead and mute themselves at this time. I don't have the ability to mute you guys, so if you guys could go ahead, in particular Lauren and Mitchie, if you guys could just mute yourself, Donald as well, that'd be great.
Here. Oh, hold on. We're back. Okay. Hi. Volumes are muted.
Mr. Chair and members, I think we've come through this little hiccup of network issue. So I'll bring the agent on and we'll see if we can have this file heard. Amber, are you present on the call?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Chair, when you're ready with item number 17.
Okay, 106 Evelyn Wiggins Drive, purpose of the application to convert the existing semi-detached dwelling into a rooming house. Amber Roba.
Yes, sir.
Right, so let me just ask, do we have the neighbor on the call?
Mr. Chair and members, the area resident is not present on the call at this time.
Okay. All right, so, sir. Can we have your Mr. Robot, can we have your name and your address for the record, please?
My name is Amar Roba from YEJ Studio, 250 Shields Court, Markham, on behalf of the property owner.
Okay. So panel, do you have any questions of the agent?
I think the issue is whether we're okay to, whether he's okay with the deferral. Planning is asking for deferral, and I see no planning report on this item.
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Mr. Romba? Mr. Romba?
Yes.
Yeah, can we just have your name and your address for the record before we address the question?
I just did that.
Oh,
But,
sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, so you, are you agreeable to a deferral?
Well, the thing is, before I agree or not, I am not sure why are they looking for a deferral, because this issue is an ongoing issue for the past 3 years. It's an existing condition. It's been like this for at least 5 or 6 years, no changes. The fire department has fined the property owner twice for not complying with the requirement, and he's not complying because he cannot get a building permit. Now, there is no report done from the planning department, which to me means that there is no objection, there is no issues from any of the departments that are involved in this. So I am not sure why is the need to defer it?
So when did you make your application?
We've made an application like 7-8 months ago.
Yeah, is this the first application? Because you said it's been an issue for 3 years.
Well, it's been an issue for 3 years because fire department came, then we applied for a building permit as the owner thought that he didn't understand. So he came to us only to change it to a 2-dwelling unit. We changed it to a 2-dwelling unit. He thought that's it. And then he realized, we explained to him, no, it has to be a roaming house. Then we applied, and then it took a very long time for the zoning review to come. Then we applied for committee of adjustment, and then we were waiting to get a hearing. So
have you been discussing this with planning, and do you have any idea why they want a deferral and haven't provided a report?
They came to us a few days ago requesting the deferral, and then they requested a phone call meeting tomorrow, which is after the committee of adjustment hearing.
So they haven't told you why, but they told you they want a deferral.
The only thing that I could understand from the email that they sent is they have some issue with the layout, but layout, that's building code, that has nothing to do with planning or committee of adjustment.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, for interjecting. They have cited number 3 as the reason for the deferral request. And it states, in order for staff to consult with other city departments, divisions, and/or external agencies to obtain information and clarity on the proposed minor variance and/or consent applications.
Mr. Chair, members, we're going to bring the planning report up for everyone's view.
I don't believe there is a planning report.
Through the chair, there is the consolidated report that's right at the beginning of the agenda package.
Yes. Yep, and that's the number. That is number 3, the deferral recommendation.
Correct.
That is what I just read.
Correct.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna speak for community planning on this, but what you have before you, committee, is you've got a use variance that's currently before you for a brand new use, which is probably why community planning is recommending condition number 3.
So, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, when can this come back if we defer it?
It's really up to community planning because with group homes, it not only involves community planning, it involves a variety of different divisions, right? It's a consolidated effort. And I just want to clarify, this application was submitted in 2022. Okay.
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 So the only issue I have with the deferral, as I said, is the fire department. Fire department is not willing or planning to wait for us decision on this. I understand that it might be some sort of the property owner's mistake, but again, he didn't understand the process, and as soon as he came to us, we directed him to the right direction. But again, it's been with the planning, and they could have made their reports and the research during the time that we've been waiting.
Yeah. Well, they say they need more time.
Through the chair, the committee probably has two options here. If the applicant does not want a deferral at today's meeting to address the community planning concerns, the other option is either approving the application or refusing the application if the applicant wants a decision at today's hearing.
I'm not comfortable approving this application. I'm happy to make a motion right now for deferral if anyone else has any, unless anyone else has any questions.
Yeah, I think that that's the right thing, because we don't have a planning report. We don't have information. I have no idea whether there's any rooming houses in Etobicoke. But I have no idea whether there's any nearby or anything else. So I don't know how we're going to be able to make a decision. So do we have a seconder for Laura's motion?
I would agree. I would agree. Second the motion, and just I'm really concerned, not having heard from community planning, when this proposed house is not permitted in the RM2 zone. As a rule, I don't move approvals of things that aren't permitted in a zone. I think a rezoning is the usual and best solution for this type of situation. So, notwithstanding, I think deferring and waiting to hear from our professional planners is the way to go. So I second the motion.
All right, all in favor? All right. The application is deferred. Thank you. That's the morning list. It's now
1:10.
Well, I have 1:13. I'll take your, yeah, it's 1:10 on my committee, Toronto City computer. It's 1:10. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, we're supposed to start the afternoon list at 1 o'clock. Staff has to have lunch. What time do you suggest we come back?
Perhaps, well, actually.
2:30 for a sound check?
Would you prefer 2 o'clock?
Yeah, I think 2 o'clock.
Actually,
better.
2 o'clock for sound check, and I'm just listening here. 2:30 for the start, the hearing of the PM session, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay. Yep, 2:30. See you back here at 2:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.